Now, the disruptor-in-chief, Elon Musk, who apparently has adopted the alias, at least he changed his social media handle to Hairy Balls, tweeted this morning, "Democracy in America is being destroyed by judicial coup. An activist judge is not a real judge."
Bingo.
In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live for Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. Thank you for tuning in. Lots of news to discuss this evening. Just a few hours ago, your new Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that she's suing New York over their protection of illegal immigrants. This is a new DOJ, she says. Earlier this morning, Tulsi Gabbard confirmed as your new Director of National Intelligence. Trump got American teacher Marc Fogel out of Russian jail. Plus, of course, I got to talk the Hairy Balls appearance at the White House yesterday, aka Elon Musk, of course. And I have a few other odds and ends as well. As usual, in the second half of the show, about an hour from now, I will take your calls. Our friend Del the Redneck will join for calls as well. If you'd like to call the show, find the link in the Discord, or link to the Discord server, rather. In the description, there are instructions and help available for you on the server. Plus, I'll catch up with your super chats halfway through and then at the end of the show as well. Speaking of, hey, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the show. You can do that for as little as $1 a month over on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com or mattis.gay. Listener support is what keeps this operation running. It's hugely appreciated. It not only helps me sustain, but it allows me to pay the people who help me out too. There are perks available for your support as well. mattchristiansenmedia.com/support, linked in the description. And we got to say hi to our friendly listener-owned business for the evening as well, and that's our friends over at Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing. These are high-quality, handmade, premium hardwood cutting boards, charcuterie boards, serving trays, and more, all of which are great gift options or the perfect piece just to class up your kitchen or anywhere else in your home. Last year, Blake at Kineo Mountain made me a cutting board engraved with my channel logo, and it looks amazing. It's been a part of our kitchen ever since, has not aged a bit. And in addition to the quality, that's the best part about Kineo Mountain's products. They are fully customizable, not just in materials, but in engravings too. So if you'd like to personalize a gift like that one, that can be arranged. Or if you have any other custom hardwood project in mind, no matter how big or how small, Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing can make it a reality for you. Just get in touch at kineowood.com. All Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing products are made in Colorado from premium domestic hardwood sources. Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing is the absolute highest quality woodworking that will last you forever. Listeners of this show, of course, get 10% off all Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing products and services using promo code MATT10 at checkout. That's promo code MATT10 for 10% off everything from our friends at Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing. KineoWood.com, KineoWood.com. Find everything you need from our friends at Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing, plus other great offers from the rest of our friendly listener-owned businesses like Hero Soap Company, Western Razor Company, Hope Innovations, and more. mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals. Deals by listeners for listeners. And speaking of our friends over at Hope Innovations, don't forget all month long, we have the Tower of Babble Super Chat Hydroponics Kit giveaway going on. The most clever or funny or most noteworthy super chats will be acknowledged with the special sounder.
I love you.
So remember, if you hear that sounder responding to your super chat, to win, I need you to head on over to my website, the giveaway page on my website. It's mattchristiansenmedia.com/giveaway, linked in the description, or you can just find it linked on the homepage as well. But on that page, there's a form for your username and your email address, because I have no way to contact you if you win through Super Chat. YouTube doesn't make that possible. Rumble doesn't make that possible. I just need your email address to connect to the Super Chat name. And of course, I will not share your email address. It will go into the abyss once the giveaway is done. And in March, we will draw a lucky winner. So if you'd like any more information on the giveaway, of course, just head on over to mattchristiansenmedia.com/giveaway. All the information is there. And one other quick production note. I'm going to start limiting the call segment of this stream to 1 hour. And I've been trying to take everybody who was trying to call in. That was pushing the stream, as it did last week, to close to 3 hours. That's longer than I'd like to go, although I appreciate the interest, and I'm glad people want to call in, so thank you for that. But I'm going to do my best to make calls as efficient as I can. I know I say that all the time, and the reason the stream pushed 3 hours is because I can't seem to keep a call under 20 minutes. So anyway, your cooperation and your help with the effort to make that 1 hour of calls as efficient as possible is most appreciated. So thank you for that. We'll get to that in about an hour. And that's kind of my aim for this stream going forward, like an hour of news breakdown in the first half and an hour of calls to talk about it in the second half. And we'll see how that goes. But hopping into the news, I mentioned it just a moment ago, but this was just a few hours ago. Newly sworn in Attorney General Pam Bondi says she's suing the state of New York and Governor Kathy Hochul and Attorney General Letitia James over what she says is their resistance to Trump's immigration crackdown. So here is Pam Bondi making that announcement earlier today.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today.
Imagine that. The DOJ actually targeting illegal immigrants instead of, say, moms at the school board meeting. She was flanked by ATF officers, okay? I have some skepticism, but hey, if you're reassigning them to police illegal immigration, I'm listening. They, at least the federal government has a legitimate role there. Interesting to see them in the background, though. Now, she mentioned charges, or she used the word charges. That makes it sound like a criminal matter. If only. Don't get excited. You're not going to watch Kathy Hochul do a perp walk. It is a civil lawsuit. The complaint, at least as of a few hours ago, was not yet public. And so what it alleges specifically and what they're looking to do as a corrective matter, not known in specific terms, but Bondi did talk about New York's green light law, which prohibits sheriff's departments and other police agencies and state agencies in New York from sharing motor vehicle data with the feds for the purposes of immigration enforcement. So if you're an illegal immigrant who goes and gets a driver's license or registers your car in New York and you are not a citizen of this country, you don't have a lawful presence here, New York, hey, that's fine with them. In fact, Bondi talked about the tip-off provision in their law that requires New York's DMV to inform the illegal alien with whom they've interacted when the feds have requested their information. So if the feds know, like, that guy over there is unlawfully in the country, hey, let's talk to the DMV to get a little more information about what's going on here. They're prohibited from sharing that information, and then they have to tell the illegal alien, watch out, Juan, they're coming to get you. And so this lawsuit is going to be something related to obstruction or facilitating the avoidance of federal law enforcement. Kathy Hochul, according to the bottom of this local reporting from New York, is scheduled to meet with Trump tomorrow. So perhaps they can resolve their differences. Now, there was a great moment on Trump's plane over the weekend. He, of course, went to the Super Bowl. We talked about that on Sunday. But he was talking to reporters, I guess. This is on Air Force One on Sunday. And there was a great exchange between Trump and a Huffington Post reporter who asked him about whether he'll defy all these court orders that are trying to stop him in all the various ways, the spending and the buyout of the federal workers and all that stuff. And Trump just dismissed the question And when he heard that the reporter was from the Washington Post, he was surprised because apparently he thought they died.
Vice President suggested that if the Supreme Court rules in a way that you don't like, they can just enforce it by themselves. Do you agree with that?
I don't know even what you're talking about. Neither do you. Who are you with?
Up close, sir.
Who?
Up close.
Oh, no wonder. I thought they died. Are they still around? I haven't read them in years. I thought they died. All right, go ahead. Who else?
But per their own reporting, don't worry, the Huffington Post clapped back. A Huffington Post spokesperson who, as far as I gather, is anonymous, but being quoted in his or her own publication, the Huffington Post, said his loss, as in Trump's, this is perhaps his biggest loss since 2020. Millions of Americans are tuning into HuffPost coverage to stay informed about the consequences of Trump's presidency.
I doubt it.
I thought tuning in, I know maybe they mean reading, but tuning in is a phrase usually associated, I mean, it comes from, radio or TV. You tune your device to watch that channel, and so it's carried over to video or audio content in the internet age. You don't tune into a written article on the internet. I thought, have I missed out on all this amazing Huffington Post video and audio content? What do I tune into at Huffington Post? And I did poke around their website. Now, it's pretty much all written content, but I found the videos page, which you can find if you dig. I thought, okay, so there are videos here, I guess. I try to play them and they don't even work. And I do have an ad blocker on this browser, but even if I disable the ad blocker, like they're still all broken. They don't play. Oh, look, you can get these great cars. Awesome. Half the page is a car advertisement. I still can't get them to play. And I'm going to assume that that's just because, as that Huffington Post spokesperson was saying, there's so much demand on their servers. Everyone's trying to access this amazing Huffington Post video and audio content, which you should tune into. And so I guess for me, unfortunately, right now, it's just, it's unavailable. Good news for me, I can turn my ad blocker back on since it doesn't matter. Anyway, thank you to Trump for that great moment. And of course, for another viable addition to the soundboard.
I thought they died.
I like that one. Anyway, bigger news, Tulsi Gabbard confirmed as your next director of national intelligence. And this, of course, after a long stretch of uncertainty. It was by no means a guarantee that Tulsi Gabbard was going to gain this office. A lot of skepticism from both parties in the Senate, but she was confirmed today by a Senate vote of 52 to 48. So despite the controversy and the defections, or at least what we thought was going to be some Republican defections, Trump's nominations, they just keep on getting confirmed. The only exception so far is Matt Gaetz, the initial nominee for Attorney General, of course, withdrew before the Senate ever confirmed him and was replaced by Pam Bondi. But Tulsi, of course, wasn't just hated by many in the Senate. She's hated by many in the intelligence community. So this is going to get really interesting. Why is she hated? She's hated because she's expressed support for Edward Snowden, even though she kind of backed off of that during her confirmation hearing. Her prior opposition to government spying through FISA, which she also kind of backed off of during her confirmation hearing. Her position, maybe we shouldn't spend infinite money unconditionally forever in Ukraine. Very controversial. She once talked to the former president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad. Also controversial. But we might see some interesting stuff happen here in the intel community. Maybe some people get fired. Maybe a lot of people resign, though. Maybe people just pack up and quit. And once there is some house cleaning, perhaps there will be, surely they are all going to go straight to Politico or wherever they go. We're going to see the article. 51 well-respected intel agents and experts say that Tulsi's confirmation has all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation, just like the old Hunter Biden laptop. Hey, but wait a second. The vote was 52 to 48, right? And there are 53 Senate Republicans. So who defected? Was it Susan Collins? No, even she voted for Tulsi Gabbard. Was it Lisa Murkowski? No, even she voted for Tulsi Gabbard. It was none other than Cocaine Mitch McConnell. Even though these days I think he's more like fentanyl Mitch, with how much time he spends on the ground after falling down. Well, fentanyl Mitch immediately released a statement. He says Tulsi has a history of alarming lapses in judgment. As I mentioned, she supported Snowden, who McConnell says committed treason. He says Tulsi has been soft on China, and she's not tough enough on Putin and Russia either. But McConnell says he does hope that she rises to the immense responsibilities of her office. So good for you, Mitch McConnell.
Oh, good for you.
I hope you rise the next time you fall down the stairs. Or maybe not. Maybe his time to retire was last century. RFK also moving toward advancement as the next Health and Human Services Secretary. The final vote will likely be tomorrow. There was a procedural vote earlier today. The Senate voted to advance his nomination 53 to 47. This is, again, this is not the final confirmation. It's a procedural vote. I don't understand why they have to do it for him, but not others, or maybe they do and it just wasn't publicized, but whatever. Senate procedural rules. I would assume that all 53 who are voting to advance him to the final confirmation vote intend on supporting him in the confirmation vote. So that means RFK is effectively confirmed now, but that should be finalized today, tomorrow, or in the coming days. This vote was party line. All Republicans in favor, and all Democrats opposed. Even old based Frankenstein, John Fetterman, who had supported some of Trump's picks like Pam Bondi for AG. John Fetterman opposed not just the advancement of RFK here, but the confirmation of Tulsi Gabbard. And that was much to the irritation of RFK's former running mate, Nicole Shanahan, who just savaged John Fetterman on X last week for his lack of support for RFK. She tweeted, quote, Fetterman toys with the ideal of being a strong American man, but he is a lazy slob who can't get to the gym in spite of wearing gym clothes all day long. I do not expect someone who can't manage to dress himself to make good decisions, let alone those as important as the health of a nation.
Jeez. How dare you?
Now, I'm warming up to Fetterman lately, but is she wrong? I mean, does anyone look at John Fetterman and think, that's a healthy man, knows a thing or two about healthy lifestyle? The only person less healthy in the Senate is probably Fentanyl Mitch. I don't know. There are a lot of ghoulish people in there, so maybe not. But Shanahan has also pledged to primary, not just Fetterman, but any of these Democrat senators who did not vote in favor of RFK. She posted, or she said this in a video, while Bobby, as in RFK Jr., may be willing to play nice, I will not. If you vote against him, I will personally fund challengers to primary you in your next election, and I will enlist hundreds of thousands to join me. In response, John Fetterman's office released a statement.
Ooh, don't do it. Please don't do it.
Fetterman isn't even up for challenge until 2028. He was elected to the Senate, defeating Dr. Oz in 2022. We'll see. This woman has a long time to hang on to a grudge. However, she is a woman, so I'm sure her capacity to hang on to a grudge for a few years' time is more than viable. So we'll see if she makes good on that threat in a few years. Surprise news overnight. Trump got American teacher Marc Fogel out of Russian prison. And I guess this isn't as big of news because he's a straight white guy who isn't even good at basketball, but it is still something of an accomplishment. He did, as far as his offense in Russia, he did pretty much the same thing as Brittany Griner did, though. Marc Fogel is a 63-year-old teacher from Pennsylvania. He'd been working at the Anglo-American School of Moscow. He was a history teacher, and he'd been working there in Russia for until he was arrested about the decade prior, since 2012. He was arrested in August 2021 when he entered Russia through customs at the Moscow airport, and he had 17 grams of medical marijuana in his luggage, so half an ounce or so. And wait, is my math right there? That sounds light. What is 17 grams? Yeah, I guess that's right. 17 grams is 0.59 ounces, whatever. Anyway, it wasn't like a ton of weed, apparently. But, well, I guess, does it count as weed if it's medical marijuana? I'm all confused in my terms. But he had 17 grams of medical marijuana, for which he had a prescription from the U.S., something to do with chronic pain. And Russia convicted him of drug trafficking, and they sentenced him to 14 years in prison. He served 3.5 of those years. Now, according to his 95-year-old mom, who apparently was very active in trying to get him out of this, Fogel was actually not a big Trump guy politically. She said upon his release, his mom's name is Malphine or Mafa, said, don't tell Trump, but he was never a Trump supporter, as in Marc Fogel was never a Trump supporter, but he will be. And Mafa, his 95-year-old mom, apparently a big Trump fan. She met with Trump prior to that faded Butler, Pennsylvania campaign rally in July. And that was the one, of course, where Trump got shot. And Mafa said Trump told her that if he won, he would get her son, Mark, out of Russian jail. And he did. So good for Trump and good for 95-year-old Mama Mafa. Now, apparently Marc Fogel has been converted to, if not Trump political fanship, just appreciation for what Trump did to get him out of Russian prison. And of course, it's hard not to appreciate when you just spent the better part of 4 years locked up in a foreign country and now you get to come home. But Marc Fogel was at the White House last night, and he said that Trump and his staff are heroes.
I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now. And I want you to know that I am not a hero in this at all. And President Trump is a hero. These men that came from the diplomatic service are heroes.
Now, as far as the terms, how did Trump get him out? What did we trade? The total terms here are not yet disclosed as far as I've seen, although we know we sent at least one guy back to Russia. But Trump said initially that the terms are very fair, the way he described it. And a few hours ago, it was reported that the U.S. is freeing a Russian cybercrime boss from prison as part of this deal. Alexander Vinnik was a crypto hacker, according to this Reuters report. What does that mean? Well, he pleaded guilty last year to conspiracy to commit money laundering. Now, when I read what they say he did, it doesn't sound like conspiracy. It sounds like he did it. But for whatever reason, they chose the charges they did. I guess it may be part of a guilty plea. They lowered the charge or something like that. But he had to forfeit $100 million to the U.S. government. He operated a cryptocurrency exchange called BTC-E, like Bitcoin E, through which he funneled $4 billion in proceeds from ransomware attacks. So ransomware, for people who don't know, that's when someone seizes control of your computer or your computer system, or they steal data from you, and they demand money in exchange for the release of your system or your data or whatever they've taken. So he did that, at least according to the guilty plea, or according to the allegations here, on a scale of $4 billion. That's quite a big ransomware haul, if that's accurate. But one thing Trump also said was that there's going to be another American that will be released from Russia, but he didn't say who. He said, quote, somebody else is being released tomorrow, and that you will know of. Now, who would that be? People speculated it had something to do with Snowden. Snowden is not a prisoner, of course. He has asylum in Russia. He's more at risk of being jailed here, even though Trump's DOJ might not do that. But there's no reason that Snowden couldn't come back if he was, had some sort of promise, if he was pardoned or something, and or had some sort of promise of non-prosecution for what happened. What was that, 2014 when all of that went down? I can't remember. It's been a long time. But there are at least 10 other Americans in Russian custody currently. Some of them are dual, or at least one of them. This woman here is a dual citizen of both countries, but she's jailed in Russia. Now, without going through all of these, a lot of them are matters very similar to Fogel or Griner, drug-related issues, or a lot of stuff related to fighting for or assisting Ukraine in the ongoing war. Trump said we would know who this person was today. I checked, I don't know, a few hours ago, so maybe the news has come out. I might have missed it. And if people want to update me on that, if they have that information. But who was Trump talking about when he said someone else is being released tomorrow? So far as I haven't seen it, so hopefully we get that information soon. But hey, speaking of the Russia-Ukraine war, Trump and Putin are talking like they actually are serious about winding this down. Like we're maybe on the cusp of some sort of ceasefire or peace agreement or something like that. Trump and Putin actually spoke by phone today in their first known phone call since Trump returned to the presidency. According to this coverage in the Huffington Post, Biden apparently didn't really talk to Putin at all, or sometimes would indirectly communicate through other people. But there was virtually no Biden-Putin communication since Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. And so the Kremlin and the White House have just been silent with each other ever since. Now, this call that they had was reportedly about 90 minutes long. Among the items believed to be discussed, or initial terms that maybe are forming the framework of some sort of an agreement, Ukraine, from the U.S. position, will probably not get all of its territory back. According to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, he said this week that's unrealistic. Now, on the pro-Ukraine side, or what Ukraine wants, or I guess what the U.S. wants on behalf of Ukraine, there's got to be a security guarantee for the capital of Kyiv, but NATO membership is off the table from the Russian perspective, which you would expect. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky actually offered some commentary about this, too. He said Trump told him the details of this phone call that he had with Putin. Zelensky says Ukraine wants peace more than anyone, and he wants to work with Trump to guarantee a reliable, lasting peace. He will just need one last deposit of $50 billion to his bank account before he's willing to sign on. But he will be ready. And actually, I saw Trump talking about an aid package to Ukraine earlier today. Something like, we'll give you more money, but we want a bunch of your rare earth metals, which that's less of an aid package and more of a purchase deal. We'll see if something like that comes out of the deal. Who knows? All right. Well, yesterday, Elon Musk showed up in his he showed up at the White House in his dark MAGA outfit from the campaign trail. And he and Trump and Elon Musk's son, who's called Little X, who has that weird code name, not a code name, but his name is a code. It's like some weird foreign character and an X and a bunch of numbers. His name is X, I guess, just like the platform. But so he shows up with his son and in the Oval Office, and they have this press conference to talk about the ongoing crackdown on waste and fraud and abuse, all the Doge stuff. Well, earlier this week, Elon Musk actually changed his X handle to Harry Bowles, or Harry Balls, HARRYBOLZ, and tweeted a criticism of all the court interventions that are happening, and in response, Dana Bash over on CNN called Harry Balls the disruptor in chief.
Now, the disruptor-in-chief, Elon Musk, who apparently has adopted the alias, at least he changed his social media handle to Harry Balls, tweeted this morning, "Democracy in America is being destroyed by judicial coup. An activist judge is not a real judge."
So Harry Balls and Big Balls, they're all bringing this country back on track. And I guess that does kind of make sense. We all know this country has been slowly losing its balls over the years. So hairy ones, big ones, they are all welcome back.
Are you gay?
Are you a gay man?
The highlight of the press conference, other than Elon's son picking his nose, apparently wiped the booger on the president's desk. The highlight other than that moment, and his son was very polite in asking to pee as well. Other than that entertainment, it was this classic fact check from our intrepid reporters. You may recall the earlier claim from Elon Musk and Doge and the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, that USAID USAID sent, $50 million worth of condoms to Gaza. And I think the president had said they gave tens of millions of dollars of condoms to Hamas in Gaza. Well, that's not at all true, because actually it wasn't Gaza, as in the Gaza Strip between Israel and Egypt, like Hamas Gaza. It was the Gaza province of Mozambique, as in the African country, okay? And actually, they need the condoms in Mozambique precisely because
many of those people probably have AIDS.
I thought they died.
So just think what would have happened, or what will happen to our country if we don't send millions of dollars worth of condoms to AIDS World. You and all your friends surely are going to be dead of AIDS very soon. We have to stop the AIDS there so the AIDS don't come here. You get the idea. But that's not it. It's not just that it was condoms to Gaza in Mozambique in Africa and not in the Middle East. It wasn't $50 million. It was $8 million. And actually, it wasn't condoms. It was non-condom contraceptives. Okay. Thank you. That makes it so much different. I feel so much better about it now. This was supposed to be some kind of gotcha moment, but Elon Musk actually handled it quite well.
Mr. Musk, you said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact-check this, it apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really an enormous number of condoms, if you think about it. But if it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
An enormous number of condoms. And yet they still have so much AIDS, or an enormous number of non-condom contraceptives, and yet they still have so much AIDS. How many condoms, how many non-condom contraceptives will it take? It's like how many licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? How many contraceptives do you have to send to Africa to finally stop the AIDS? The world may never know. And if we aren't stopping the AIDS, doesn't seem like we are, we've been trying to do it for a long time, does it actually make sense? The reporter says, it makes sense. Yeah, Mozambique, they got a lot of AIDS. So it makes sense that we'd send the stuff there. Does that make sense? It doesn't seem like it's having that positive of an effect. Whatever the truth here is, did we spend $8 million? Did we spend $50 million? Why are we spending millions of dollars on condoms or non-condom contraceptives? Why are we sending that to any foreign country? That is the important question. That's what people care about, not whether it was Hamas Gaza or Africa Gaza or condoms or non-condom contraceptives. We have plenty of AIDS in this country, after all. Take those condoms, take those non-condom contraceptives, drop them right into the tenderloin of San Francisco, and let's help Americans with AIDS, I say. And I don't think I'm alone in that. And Elon's answer was actually great in its temperament and in its addressing of the matter that he was asked about. It actually addressed the truth of the matter. He didn't try to hide from it. Okay, we got that one wrong. Like, yes, you're right that that on the facts, like what money went where and for what, it was an incorrect mistake, and you can understand why Gaza was mistaken. This Gaza was mistaken for that Gaza. He didn't try to hide from that. But he stayed focused on the important point. That is to say, yes, we messed that one up, but the theme of our concern, why are we spending so much money in faraway lands on very bizarre things that really have nothing to do with the safety and security of the American people? we should stay focused on that. And that's what we are focused on. I thought it was a great answer. He could have like responded with disdain and mockery, and I think that would have probably been justified, but he was matter of fact, and he stayed focused on what matters, and he answered the question fairly. For all this like, oh, it's a shadow government. Oh, he's unelected. Oh, what, they're operating in secrecy. No, he's not. He's right there answering the questions as the reporter asked them, even if they're kind of absurd in their premise. Whether you love the policy, disagree with the policy, I don't know how you can't be at least a little refreshed by that compared to the prior administration. And on what basis you're going to possibly call this like some sort of secret op when they're being as transparent as possible. But the NBC coverage of that moment that I saw this morning was hilarious. They still want to perpetuate the idea that that was some big gotcha. Like, what an embarrassing moment for Elon Musk. He got called out. But they didn't want to actually show his answer because, as I mentioned, it was a pretty good answer. So they just omitted his answer, and they're just going to describe what he said instead. And all of this in the context of Elon Musk saying, as they characterize it, without evidence or without specific evidence that there's a bunch of government waste. And then, listen to us describe how Elon Musk got fact-checked and corrected.
Elon Musk talking about his work reshaping the government.
And a lot of times that, people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
President Trump and Musk, his 4-year-old son in tow, saying they've identified billions of dollars in fraud and waste without providing specific evidence.
Also, in the Oval Office, when Musk was addressing reporters, he talked about those concerns that some have said he's been making misleading claims or claims without evidence. What do you know about that?
Yes, Savannah, that's right. Amid major downsizing at USAID in particular, of course, that's the agency that delivers billions of dollars in federal aid. Musk backpedaled after his and President Trump's recent false claims that the U.S. sent $50 million to buy condoms in Gaza. Musk saying some of the things I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. He added nobody's going to bat 1,000, saying we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes.
Without specific evidence of government waste. Without specific evidence, he claimed to breathe oxygen. Without specific evidence, he claimed to be held to the ground by gravity. Government waste is every bit the ubiquitous natural property that those things are. But the other controversy was the supposed prop use of his son, little X there, the kid with the computer code name. Now the narrative is that Elon brought his son as a prop and effectively a shield. He'll only talk to reporters if he shields himself with a child so that he can't be criticized, even though they happily criticize him anyway. And of course, even though he talks to reporters all the time without his kid there. Now, in fairness to the media outlets making this claim, it's sort of it's an interpretation of what Elon's, what is her relationship to him? Is it ex-wife? Is it baby mama? Whatever. Grimes, the mother of that child, the musician. This is an interpretation of what she said on X. Again, this is the child's mom. Someone on X replied to Grimes saying, "Hey, your son was very well behaved when he said, 'Please forgive me, I need to pee.'" That's very polite of him. And Grimes said, "Oh man, he shouldn't be in public like this." Well, that does tend to happen when you have two public figure parents, although, I mean, I get it. You don't have to bring the kid, I suppose. But yet never, the real problem here is it's never good to have a mom tweeting about what her son should or should not be doing and how dad is doing it wrong and doing all that in public. And this is where I think a lot of valid criticisms of Elon Musk come into play. I don't think it has anything to do with condoms in Gaza, whether that's Mozambique or the Middle East. It's a family situation that is awfully suspect. But hey, man, he's up there talking to reporters, fully admitting to mistakes he's made or faults that he has. So I'm sure he'd probably handle this a little bit differently if he had the opportunity to. But the other narrative about this press conference is that that Trump was humiliated. Trump was absolutely humiliated during this this press conference because it was primarily Elon Musk on display. Now, why is that humiliating? Why was it the most powerless image ever of a U.S. president, according to MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell? Well, it's because it showed that Donald Trump is submissive and subservient to his master, Elon Musk. And I thought, well, I mean, I don't think most people see it that way. I think Elon Musk is the head of Doge guy. This was a press conference about Doge. Trump is just allowing the Doge guy to answer those questions. But okay, even if you want to interpret it that way, as negatively as possible, like Trump is yielding to his boss, is it really, is that the most powerless image ever of a U.S. president? Because I remember a few recent examples that are maybe a less power associated with them, like Joe Biden falling off a bike, or Joe Biden falling up the stairs. Or how about Joe Biden needing Obama to guide him off the stage?
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
Come on, man.
If you think the last 4 years were a comparative demonstration of presidential strength, well, I guess that's why you're on MSNBC. All right. Recall the massively obese female rapper from Detroit, Dank Demoss. I discussed the case of Dank Demoss 2 weeks ago now. She is suing Lyft because the Lyft driver who was picking her up refused to allow her into his car. And it's really embarrassing now because 2 weeks ago, I mean for me, not just for Dank Demoss, when I talked about this 2 weeks ago, I very naively guessed that she weighed 300 pounds. Now, I guess I didn't see photos like this one, or maybe I just assumed that I thought she was short, so how even when she looks really fat, she can't be that heavy because she's a chick. No, I was way off. In fact, she's almost twice, maybe not twice, but the better part of twice what I had estimated. She's nearly 500 pounds. So nearly 500-pound female Detroit rapper Dank Demoss is suing Lyft under Michigan non-discrimination law, which includes weight as a protected class in some contexts, which we talked about. Well, yesterday, Dank Demoss appeared on the Breakfast Club radio show with Charlemagne and the rest of that cast to defend her honor and explain her litigation against Lyft. When she arrived, she found the normal chair, the chair in which guests usually sit, that was not sufficient for her weight needs or her size needs. It was too constricting. So they had to move a small couch over, a small sectional, a chair designed for multiple people. They had to move that over to accommodate her. And Dank Demoss, she says she's just like the gays and the trannies. And the gays and the trannies get accommodated in public, so she should be accommodated too. Now, I had to alter this clip a little bit. The copyright bot was a little bit aggressive with it, so that's why the presentation looks a little odd. But what you really need is the sound, of course.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Hi, how are you?
Or maybe not. You got to see her fit in this chair.
How you, brother? You good? Nice to meet you, Keys.
Got it.
Yeah, this the only seat y'all got?
What you want? What you need?
There's one more.
A bigger chair or something.
We had
That's what I'm talking about. Good. This is accommodation.
There you go. Well, we live in a world that's not always going to be able to accommodate people that are
But we
plus
should,
size.
though. We should, because we not all the same, you know? I feel like a lot of times people think that bigger people, obese, the F word people should just be in a house. When it's like,
The
we
F
not.
word?
Yeah, the F word. I'm not
You
about
heard
to-
that you can't say in your house,
Yeah.
fat.
Oh!
I'm not saying that word.
Yeah.
Bigger people should be accommodated, just like we accommodate the LGBT community. If we inside is get up. Why you in a house? You should be doing this. You should be doing that. When we outside, it's like, why you not in a house?
Who actually told you that? Because, like, that's crazy. I don't believe that, F people should stay in the house.
That's how it is. We go outside and people looking at us crazy, like, we getting stared at. For what? Because we big?
You compared your situation to the LGBTQ, and a lot of people would say, well, LGBTQ people don't have a choice to be gay or whatever, but you have a choice to be plus size. So they want you to make better choices, eat right, work out, lose the weight.
I feel
What you
like
mean? They don't
I
have
feel
a
like
choice
I
to be
do.
gay.
You born
Yeah,
gay.
born gay.
Hey,
Jess, don't you start.
Now,
Jess.
that's a debate right there.
I work on myself, you know, and when I feel like I'm getting too much, I try to fix it, you know, like at my pace, you know.
The F word. And everyone's thinking like, what? What F word? She means fat. Oh, okay. The comparison there is hilarious. When I say comparison, I mean between her massively obese condition and LGBT lifestyle, as she referenced it. Because she presents that to mean, well, see, look, there's an alternative lifestyle, and that gets accommodated in the public with all kinds of stuff. So I should get accommodated for stuff too. And the comparison is actually largely valid, I think. But it doesn't demonstrate what she wants it to demonstrate, which is this is just a lifestyle that should be accommodated. No, it demonstrates the opposite. That you are following the same BS path that has sent the LGBT community off the rails completely, demanding others accommodate their lifestyle to ridiculous extents. To the point that you even want word control. You know who else wants control of the F word? The LGBT community.
You're a faggot.
But now you can't say fat. That's a bad word. I guess she didn't say you can't say it. It's just she prefers not to say fat. But in both contexts, life and lifestyle, they're about choices. And if you choose to live a life a certain way, it's going to have impacts on your life. It's going to have consequences. And it's not up to others to live in a way that accommodates you. It's up to you to adapt to the world around you. You have to adapt and accommodate your own life. And yeah, I said choice, and I think, at least at this point, give it 10 years, maybe fat, maybe you'll be born fat or born F. I want to be sensitive here. But I say choice in both contexts. And that's why I say I think it actually is a valid comparison. Because the older I get, the more I do believe that being gay is largely a choice. Or at least the behavior associated with it is largely a choice. And don't misunderstand, I'm not saying that I want people legally punished for being gay or something like that. I'm saying that if you choose to live in a gay relationship, which I don't know how you characterize that as anything other than a choice, society doesn't have to alter itself to provide you with cakes and flowers and adoption services and all those things. Or it wasn't just LGB, it was T that she mentioned too. If you're transgender, society doesn't have to alter itself to let you into bathrooms or other women's spaces to accommodate your delusion. So in all of these contexts, yeah, you can live the way that you want, but there are going to be consequences, natural consequences for your decision to live that way. And no, it's not wise to pretend that all of these choices are equally valid or equally wise. I don't have to want like legal crackdown on people to say, probably not a good idea to live that way, but okay, it's a free country, I guess. Now, what I found really interesting there was, I don't know everybody on the Breakfast Club, so I don't want to mischaracterize. And Charlemagne, of course, is a Democrat, progressive guy. I've seen a lot of his political commentary on Sunday morning talk shows regarding Kamala Harris and all that. And so I believe he's a of that political persuasion. I assume the rest of the people on the show are, but I don't know. Could be wrong. I don't listen to it a ton. I'm just surprised that this crew is not convinced that people are born gay. I'm surprised that Charlemagne presented that premise, oh, you're born gay, and half the people on the show are like, whoa, hold on. What are you talking about? They, I guess, assume, or they believe that the gay behavior is a choice as well, which I guess I found to be somewhat surprising in the context of what I believe to be their politics. But like I said, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Now, I wasn't able to listen to the whole thing, so I didn't catch if there's an update in the lawsuit or not. But of course, this can be a real opportunity for Lyft. Not only could they settle the lawsuit, they could make a smart marketing move. As many on X have observed in recent weeks, just introduce forklift, and Dank Demoss will never be discriminated against again. If they had just sent forklift in the original encounter or had it available for her to order, we could have avoided all of this. Also, recall Jasmine Crockett the congressional representative for Waffle House. I've talked to a lot of Jasmine Crockett in recent weeks, but she just keeps dropping bangers, as the kids say, I suppose. We remember all sorts of Jasmine Crockett classics. Her congressional clapbacks, calling Marjorie Taylor Greene a bleach blonde, bad-built butch body last year. But she's also a frequent guest on CNN, where she offers her astute political insights. She has said insane things that have gone completely unchallenged, like black women are the most educated demographic in society or in the country. And just last week, she said, white supremacists commit 80% of the violent crime in this country. Well, Jasmine Crockett has another genius idea. Now, Jasmine Crockett doesn't like that ICE agents are raiding schools and churches and hospitals to get illegal immigrants, even though I haven't seen a lot of examples of that happening. I guess theoretically it's possible, and she doesn't like even the prospect. Now, even if that did happen, sorry, as I've said before, this is not the floor is lava. You don't get safe zones from law enforcement. You can't commit serious crimes and then go into a safe zone and say, oh, you can't get me in here. Sorry, the floor is lava, ICE agents. Get the hell out of here. Except Jasmine Crockett apparently does want safe zones for criminals. She's now co-sponsoring the Protecting Sensitive Locations Act in the House. And there's a Senate co-sponsor, Richard Blumenthal. Now, this isn't going to pass, but it's interesting to consider. She wants no ICE raids in the safe zones. Not just... so the safe zones would be schools, churches, or hospitals, but it's not just in the safe zones. It's within 1,000 feet of the safe zones. She posted on X yesterday this video to promote the idea.
U.S. Department of Homeland Security issued a directive last week allowing immigration enforcement to arrest undocumented migrants in places such as churches and schools. But across the nation, students and educators worry that the policy change could jeopardize the learning environment.
Our students are currently living in fear that they will be deported.
Okay, so Protecting Sensitive Locations Act. This will ban raids in sensitive locations within 1,000-foot radius of hospitals, schools,
Everyone
churches.
should be concerned, because even though your child may wake up and not be thinking about an ICE agent coming, like some other children are, if that were to happen, it's going to affect your child. And how are you going to talk about that?
Now, just consider this as a thought exercise. Do we accept the premise that there are vulnerable places in the way she means? Yeah, okay, I understand. Schools have children. They're vulnerable to predators. Hospitals have sick people, vulnerable to predators. Churches generally have a lot of elderly or young attendees, vulnerable to predators. So why then are you encouraging the criminals to go to vulnerable places? Oh, please, pedophiles, we've changed our mind. Now definitely move within 1,000 feet of that school. Oh, wait, they can't. At least according to a lot of state law, they can't. Which raises an interesting question. What does, and let's say this became law, what does an illegal alien pedophile do in that situation? It's not an exaggerated scenario, okay? Illegal immigrant child sex abusers discovered all the time. They've been arrested since Trump took office, played the Christiansen bit just a few weeks ago, busting several of them in his stings. How does, so illegal alien child molesters exist. We're arresting them. How does Jasmine Crockett want this situation resolved? As in, there's an actual child molester, an actual pedophile, an actual child abuser within 1,000 feet of a school. Does she want the illegal immigrant child molester living within 1,000 feet of that school for safe harbor? It is a vulnerable location, a sensitive location after all. Or does she want that person arrested because that person is a threat to the children there and shouldn't be there? And if she does want that person arrested, well, then she doesn't actually want this safe zone away from law enforcement, does she? And maybe you don't like the pedo example. You think it's like too exaggerated or something. How about Laken Riley's killer? That illegal alien Venezuelan, he stalked her and he killed her on the University of Georgia campus. Now, I assume in her legislation, I guess I should double check, but I would assume that a university campus counts as a school for the purposes of being a safe zone in the way she intends. Does she want that guy, again, who chased her down, beat her up, killed her? Does she want guys like that protected in the safe zone of the school? Now, I assume Jasmine Crockett has an amazing explanation for this. After all, she is part of the most educated demographic in the country. And in her words, I'm just a mediocre white boy. So I'm sure she'll explain all of this very soon. And lastly, before the top of the hour, a crazy story came out of the New York Post this morning. If you thought we were finally past all the COVID nonsense, apparently not. Headline, J.D. Vance's 12-year-old relative denied heart transplant because she is unvaccinated. There's this 12-year-old girl in Indiana who is, I guess, distantly related to J.D. Vance. I'm not sure if he's said anything about this. As far as I've seen so far, he has not. But she's distantly related to the vice president by marriage through his half-siblings. But her name is Adeline Deal. She was born with 2 rare heart conditions. Her family's known for a long time that she's going to need a heart transplant at some point. Adeline was adopted from China when she was 4. She was treated at Cincinnati Children's Hospital for nearly 10 years. Her parents hoped that she would get the heart transplant there. But the hospital requires transplant patients to be vaccinated to its satisfaction, including, yes, the COVID-19 vaccine. And the family opted not to get that vaccine or the flu vaccine, they say for religious reasons. They're non-denominational Christians. Now, it sounds like this is a liability policy thing from this hospital, since the reason for the policy is that, at least as they explain it, those who get transplants are more vulnerable to infection, so they don't want their transplant recipients to be vulnerable to infection, so you got to get the vaccine. Now, a reporter asked the Cincinnati Children's Hospital if they kept this girl off the transplant list because of her unvaccinated status. The hospital did not confirm. I don't even know if they can, given health privacy laws. So they didn't confirm or deny, but they kind of did by implication. They said the hospital's clinical decisions are, quote, guided by science research and best practices, and that the hospital follows guidelines from the National Institutes of Health. So Dr. Fauci strikes again. Now, I read through the comment section in this New York Post article. This is awfully interesting. Some of the can I find some of them here? Let's see. There were some people saying it's like a lung transplant recipient who smokes. Here's a comment to that effect. You know, this is like you don't give a lung transplant to a smoker, and you don't give a liver transplant to a drinker. Why? Because you want to give that transplant, the actual organ is a very valuable thing, and you want to give it to the person who's going to have the highest likelihood at a successful outcome. So you don't give it to the smoker or the drinker. And this family refusing the vaccine, that's what this is. It's exactly like that. Is it exactly like that, though? It's like, is this vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine, is it known for producing robust heart strength? Or is it kind of the opposite, where there are a lot of issues where you might say, no, I'm not saying it's this extreme, but just consider the analogy. The bottle is to the liver, or the cigarette is to the lungs, what the vaccine is to the heart. Again, not saying it's that extreme, but I'm saying a lot of cases of people having poor heart outcomes associated with the vaccine. And it's not even according to me. It's according to people in medicine. I mean, all the heart inflammation and all those issues. Okay. That's not conspiracy theory stuff. It's demonstrated. So I just thought it was like, given the things has a link to heart problems, for these people to be saying, well, what can you expect? You don't get to smoke and get a lung transplant. Okay. But you want the COVID-19 vaccine to take care of your heart? All right. Okay. Guess we still live in that world. And And yeah, you know, the other pushback on this, of course, is like, well, the hospital is entitled to its own policies. If in their judgment they think this is the right course of action for them to be willing to accept the risk inherent to the transplant, that's fine. And I agree. I do think they are entitled to their own policies and all of that. However, we're all also entitled to criticize what at least I think is a wildly unwise policy that could have catastrophic consequences. But of course, the other qualifier is that's if all of this is exactly as presented. You know, we have one side of this story. It's the mom running to the media. And then we have the PR speak version of the other side of the story. And for any criticism I might have, like, well, the hospital should just come clean. There's a lot of health privacy laws that prevent them from really giving their full side of the story in what exactly happened in this case. So I don't want to jump on the jump on the hate bandwagon against this hospital too early without knowing exactly what happened. But service level, yeah, it seems like the COVID nonsense continues. But let me grab a couple super chats before we bring in Dell to take some callers. And let's see what we got. Over on Rumble, your friendly neighborhood Fed, nice to hear from you. Matt and I were kidnapped by the tranny murder cult. They tried to give us a tug and shoved their hairy balls in our faces. We escaped before they could cover us with their ziz. Second worst time in San Francisco. Shaking my head. Okay, well, you know, I think... Hold on, I got to give you your Fed button. Where the hell did I put that?
Fed.
And you know what? That was high effort, so I'm going to start it off with a winner.
I love you.
Even though it pained me to read because it was so disgusting. I thought I opened this up before live. Sorry, the duct tape rolls on. I don't even have my document open to save the chat entries. Let me get that taken care of. Here we go. I should have been better prepared. My apologies. Okay, thank you, friendly neighborhood Fed. Hottie Twerkman, the real reason Iraqi Sesame Street costs USAID $20 million can finally come out of the closet. It was security for Bert and Ernie. All right, I like that one too.
I love you.
I get it, because they're gay. You know, sometimes those are over my head, but I do know that Bert and Ernie are gay. All right, we're off to a good start. I like these. These are good ones. Mr. GR says, oh man, hold on. I got to figure out a system to make this easier to note because I'm, hold on. Yeah, I have to just copy paste your chats into a place to store them, and that's not ideal. So let me try to figure that out sometime off air. Anyway, GR says, hey, you bitch ass rigger. Always got to be careful. I hate to just simplify it like this, but you know, this is just a serious culture of entitlement here. It actually is old, but I think it's very accurate. I am overweight, but I know I need to lose weight and live better. This person is actually making it harder on obese and overweight. I agree on semantics. Fat is something you have, not something you are. Oh, well, but yeah, I guess you could dispute like what the word applies to, but her saying she doesn't even want to use the word in any context is kind of hilarious. Anyway, if you tell them these places are off limits, that's just where they'll hide at. This about the immigrants. The demon rats are lying to their base and claiming Puerto Ricans and resident aliens are rounded up and deported. Well, thank you, GR. Yeah, I mean, I don't... Look, people gain weight, all right? I got pretty fat like 10 years ago. I was like 30 pounds heavier. And I never got like out of control, but I definitely had more weight on me than I should. And even now, sometimes it's like, well, you know, you're getting up there and you can't just eat whatever you want. So weight management is hard, no doubt. But yeah, it's very different when someone's justifying that or saying like, that's just how I am. Or I guess she says that I do things to try to manage it. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know what the Dank Demoss workout plan is, but I do know for her, like an air squat for her would be Herculean. So really any movement is bound to get most of that weight off. Long Dong John says, Matt, you asked where the local reporting was regarding the tranny Manson family. I wouldn't want to look at what they did, considering the dude who testified against them for murder, or who was about to testify against them. Yeah. Say hi to Dell for me. I'll do that. Yeah, no doubt. Well, yeah, I mean, if you cross them, they are killing people. So I guess that's a fair point. You want to be careful how closely you investigate the tugboat tranny cult. But I don't even mean just locally. Like, it's crazy this is not a national story. Nobody seems to care, really. Aaron Mallow, did you see the city council meeting tranny stuff? Is it just me, or was the guy from the It Is Ma'am freakout video, was he there? I saw this. So Worcester, Massachusetts became a trans sanctuary city because they think they're like being persecuted by the federal government or something. I saw some of the clips and I thought about talking about it on the stream tonight. Some of it was so ridiculous that I kind of thought it was trolling. Like, I kind of thought it was an Alex Stein style bit. And so I hesitated because I'm like, I don't have time to figure out if this is real or not. But yeah, I did see that. Maybe I'll get back to it. Colton Regal, thank you, Aaron. I'm ready for the coming winter storms. I've got a pound of Prince Albert, 2/5 of bourbon, 20 pounds of taters, 10 pounds of cornmeal, and 12 gallons of coal oil. Stay safe, folks, and don't work too hard. Well, Godspeed out there, wherever you may be, Colton. Appreciate your support for the show. And dude, it's like the second or third consecutive night of 20 below weather. In fact, outside right now, my phone says it's -8.
Oh my God, bro.
So I am looking forward to temperatures moderating because my furnace, like, it's just running constantly. It's basically impossible to keep the house at like a warm temperature when it's this cold overnight. So I just, we've surrendered to just keeping the house. I was editing my video last night and had a space heater sitting next to me, like, just plugged in because it's so freaking cold. Thank you, Colton. Long Dong John says, why hasn't Bitch McConnell been primaried out yet? Okay, Bitch McConnell. That's a little obvious, but I'm going to allow it. Because you know what?
I love you.
I don't think I've ever heard Bitch McConnell before. That actually, for as obvious as it seems, I don't think I've ever heard Bitch McConnell. Okay. I'm going to end my chats there. Odyssey, I know I missed you for now. I will come back to you on Odyssey. I appreciate you over there, Blankets. So sit tight. Thank you. And I just want to make sure we leave enough time for our callers. And I want to make sure I'm respectful of Dell's time, too. So let me go grab Dell, and then we will get into your calls.
Stand back and stand by.
Hello, sir.
Hey.
I don't think I've asked you yet, but Piggly Wiggly, is that a Town Pump competitor? Because we might have a problem if we're promoting a Town Pump competitor on this production.
What is Town Pump?
Well, you're going to have to come to Montana to find out.
Apparently, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you'll never be promoting Piggly Wiggly again once you find out what Town Pump is. I'll tell you that.
It sounds like some kind of like septic treatment place or something.
All right. Well, let's hop into our callers. Let's see who we got. New Tradist is up first. It's been a little bit, but New Tradist, how are you? New Tradist?
Hello?
Yeah. What's on your mind, man?
Hey.
How's it going?
I am well. How have you been?
I've been good. I just wanted to mostly check in on you, see how you were up to, what you were up to, and actually apologize. I have not kept up with you whatsoever, and particularly, I know you like right around the time of the schism, the Great Schism of the Matt and Blonde Show, formerly known as.
Yeah.
You were mentioning how like a lot of the religious folks were like very lambasting. The non-religious folks were like lambasting you, and the religious folks were really supportive. And I had considered myself a pretty religious person. I still do, and I'm trying to for it. And I did not pray for you as much as I wanted to, or contribute, or participate in the Bible studies. And I wanted to apologize for that. And,
Well,
see how you were doing on the whole Christian thing.
You have nothing for which to apologize. But hey, I appreciate your kindness, man. It means a lot. And I just want to clarify a little bit, because when actually the demons in my email inbox, that was the Tenet event, but they were so close and kind of closely related.
Okay.
And so
yeah,
what I meant with that was when Tenet happened, my email inbox was the craziest dichotomy of demon people who don't know who I am and have never met me, but tell me at length how they want to kill my whole family in front of me. And they, just like detailed,
they did that.
Detailed descriptions. And then the other half of the inbox, and it wasn't half and half, actually, it was like 90-10, but the demon people were so enthusiastic that it seemed more like an even split.
Yeah.
But the people, the other people in my inbox were the people you're describing, like, hey man, saw this happen, really sucks. But I think you'll pull through it, praying for you. Thanks for everything you've brought in terms of entertainment and news and all that. I know this is just a very humble internet production, but when I got those emails, it was very clear to me, like, okay, there are two paths here. There are the happy, healthy, well-wishing people of faith, and then there are the demon people. And you've been kind of, I don't think I was straddling the demon side, at least I wasn't trying to, but it was very clear to me, like, you got to pick, there's a fork in the road here, and you have to pick which fork are you taking. And that's how that came to be. So the only reason I clarify at length is because I didn't want to leave any implication that the split, the schism of the former iteration of this show, that I took like faith implications out of that, because I didn't. And I don't want to imply that people who, that's not to say I don't appreciate people who encouraged me from a faith perspective in that context. I'm just saying I don't want to be understood to mean that people who maybe were friendly or big fans of the prior host, that I'm accusing them of being bad people or evil people or something like that. I'm not. I didn't get any of that effect at all. So that's the only reason I clarified.
I just wanted to, I haven't talked to you in a while, and I wanted to catch back up and see how the faith journey was going. And I know it's like, the conversion is often like a really emphatic and like significant event, and then it can peter out.
I started going to church at
contributing to the
I started going to
the conversion thing and not praying for you as much as I should have. So.
Well, I appreciate the thoughts. I started going to church at the start of the year, and that's been really cool. So the next step is to. So I feel pretty good about this church. So the next step is to become a more involved member of that community and try to. Really, like through the Bible study, I feel like I'm getting a good scriptural understanding. I feel satisfied with that. But the angle on church is like there's a community, and you need to have neighbors you know and trust, and you need to be a part of that community. And so that's my goal for the coming year, is to find a new community based around that faith and based around those values and all of that.
What kind of church are you going to?
I am leaving that undisclosed at the moment, but I will say, right. I don't want to disappoint people, but it is a,
that's totally fair.
It is a non-Catholic institution. It's just,
you can be non-Catholic. You're part of the Trinitarian, community. You're a Christian. Yeah. That's excellent. And I'm really happy for you. How has it been, becoming and sustaining Christianity over time?
I feel totally confident that I'm on the right path. I have no doubts whatsoever. And I think, like you, well, maybe, at least this is what I'm gathering from what you said.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell me if that's not what you meant. But sometimes, if anything, I feel like I'm often... Like, it takes a conscious effort to check in with that part of your life on a daily basis. You know what I mean? Like, Your faith is not just like a title that you apply to yourself. It's something you check in on actively and participate in actively. And there are lots of times where things have happened like you're describing, where I thought, man, you know what? That's something on which I should have reflected, on which I should have prayed, on which I should have like taken that moment to just have that moment like you're talking about. And because that wasn't a part of my life prior, that's still an adjustment for me. Like I still have to make that conscious. It's not reflexive for me. It's not like automatic.
Yeah.
And so getting that as an automatic part of my routine, I'm still not fully adjusted to that, but I'm making that effort.
I mean, I will say, like, from a lot of people that I've known who have come to the faith from being atheist, because I personally, like, I grew up Protestant, and I'm like, I'm set to be, confirmed Catholic this Easter. But like, I've drifted in and out of the faith, and I grew up in it, and so like the reflexivity can be actually a hindrance in my experience.
Yeah, I mean, you always want it to be active
about these things,
and
like,
conscious.
it's the normal thing. Exactly. Yeah. So I guess, how did you get over you're a very rational person, you're a logical person, and I imagine there having been a hurdle of like, what are these miracles, and like this Noah thing is ridiculous, and like, the resurrection is a very strange concept. It seems very like non-scientific. How did you get over that?
Yeah, totally. Well, frankly, there are all sorts of things that are, I suppose, hard to believe in that way. But I think for me, and maybe some people would find this answer unsatisfying, I've spent plenty of time observing the results of people who believe and people who don't. And even if it's hard for me to get to grasp specific things, and to understand how things that seem supernatural could be possible, it's really that I default to. Like, well, okay, but you chose the path. You chose the path for a reason, and that's because you believe in what it has brought to the people who are walking it. So you might have your doubts, you might have your questions, but you're going to have to stay on the path regardless. That's what faith is. And the other thing about like the supernatural, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, is like, there is so much about the natural world that we just don't understand. And I think it's so ridiculous to think that we have a complete accounting of all the things that are going on in the natural world. There's so much going on in the natural world that we can't see, that we have no concept of. And we've become more aware of that over time as human beings.
Well, my big thing is that I have seen people create. I've seen things get created. In fact, everything I know has been created. I have never once seen something just pop into existence out of nothing.
Yeah, fair point.
So I don't know why that's the predominant. Makes more sense than if someone had created it.
Yeah, even if it's the single cell, like that cell appeared in the water and divided.
Someone created that cell. I mean, regardless of how man was created.
That's the interesting thing about, like, if that single cell, the origin of life, had a spontaneous, quote unquote, natural origin. Even though I don't think like intelligent design or a godly creation would be an unnatural origin. That's not what I'm saying. But if the theory is like the Earth's natural conditions are such that they're just the perfect conditions for life to appear in the way you're describing, why hasn't there been a second Genesis? Like, why hasn't another origin happened if it's the perfect condition for the origin to appear spontaneously? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. So for every like piece of skepticism I could have about the supernatural components, like Nutritis is talking about, there are questions I have about the conventional scientific understanding too that I think are every bit as valid. But anyway,
and like you can't deny free will. You can't deny like souls and decisions and morality and the fruits, like you were saying, like the fruits of living with God in love, with a consistent and like full understanding of top to bottom, like how we do, like our decisions do matter, and there is a universal good. Yeah,
I mean, God and Christ are often referred to with the concept of, well, I guess not Jesus as much, but with a fatherly concept, our Father. is the idea.
Yep.
And when you really think about that, that's kind of the way I try to look at how I understand these things. That is to say, like, my 3-year-old son will look at me as a guide for how to behave. Now, he might not understand why I do things the way I do sometimes, but even if he can't fully understand why I do it that way, he's still going to largely mimic that because he sees the life that dad is building, and he understands if I follow that path, I'll get something similar, or I can expect something similar in the future for me. And that's the way I look at God, and the path is like, well, I don't understand everything about this, but I see what it's building for those that follow, and I'm in because you guys are living a good life. So that's where it stands. But you have a final thought on any of that?
Just again, like I'm really glad to see your progress in the faith and that it's sustaining. If you want to, like, land the plane with waxing poetic about your kids, I'm more than happy to hear it.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate hearing from you. And again, man, anytime. Like, I don't want you to feel like, oh, if I haven't called in for a while, if I haven't emailed Matt, like I owe him something, or I've been a bad person. No. I always like it when people.
It's like I just miss you, buddy.
Hey, I appreciate you calling in, and even if it's been years, you know what? I always like it when somebody who hasn't talked to me for years will show up in my email inbox or call the show or something. It's really cool. So thank you, man. I appreciate it, and all the best, and God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you as well.
Thanks.
Cheers.
You have any other thoughts on that topic, Mr. Dell? I don't think we talk religion and faith very much, do we?
You're not going to be one of them Jehovah's Witnesses, are you?
No,
that's not that church you're going to, right?
No, they knock on my door, and I always, I tell them,
get the hell out of here. That was surprising that he said he became Protestant from Catholic, because I thought the Catholics and Protestants hated each other. I thought the Protestants hate the Catholics, and
that's the see. I'm so new to the community as an adult. So the rivalry, like the Protestant Catholic rivalry, of course, that was a big thing in the chat of at least the former iteration of our show. That I just don't understand. I'm not even saying you're wrong. Like, of course, there's significant philosophical disputes, I'm sure. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't know. I don't. For one, I'm not qualified to take some sort of hardline stance against a rival or something like that. But number two, I mean, I just try to look at this like, if you accept the fundamental premise, aren't you really on the team? I know that there are disputes within the team, but I don't know.
What did Tom Blair say about that? The Protestants hate the Catholics, and the Catholics hate the Protestants, and the Hindus hate the Muslims, and everybody hates the Jews.
It seems so. Or like that Simpsons thing about groundskeeper Willie saying who the Scots hate, but they don't hate anybody more than they hate other Scots. Anyway, let's see what Golden Leaf has to say. Golden Leaf, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you all doing today?
Hey.
We are well. What's on your mind?
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Who, Dank Demoss?
Maud is not in here. Hold on.
Oh, she's been usurped. Maud, I think is
this Dank thing. By the way, Maud's got her. This has given Maud a little bit of gumption. Now she's going to go out and form her own lawsuit against the hell restaurant was that? She said it's like Holy Wok Chinese buffet, and she's going to sue them for that 2-hour limit on their all you can eat.
That sounds discriminatory too.
2 hours is not long enough.
Yeah. That's discriminatory against Fs.
Oh God, what was his name? He was a fat comedian.
Farley?
And he did a joke about Chinese food and how you're always hungry after you finish it.
I don't know. As I've mentioned before, I hate Chinese food. Can't stand it.
I'll look up his name later, but well, I don't get why. I forget who was saying that at the time. Regular conservative woman. She said how we can condone this type of behavior, and it was more pointing to when she was talking about Lizzo, how big Lizzo was. If you're like, oh, they're celebrating her because positivity and everything. It's like you can like her for her song, but I feel bad for her that she weighs that much.
Dank Demoss makes Lizzo look anorexic. That's how severe it's become.
Yeah, and through post I've seen. I haven't clicked on it, but it has been confirmed that Dank Demoss has an OnlyFats.
OnlyFats? Only Fs? Are you serious? Is that a real thing, or are you just?
I've been seeing reports that there is confirmation of.
Oh no! Well, cash in while you can. Enjoy your 15 minutes. Holy cow! Lizzo is like the after. If there was a Dank Demoss, Jenny Craig ad, Lizzo would be the after. That's how bad it is for Dank Demoss.
And I'm just under the thing of when, as a society, have we started to tolerate this type of behavior? Just overall, love who you want to be, you're healthy. The healthy at any size thing has been the most asinine thing I have ever seen.
But
of all time.
Well, that's why I found the gay comparison that she made to be so interesting. It's like,
I didn't even watch that. What'd she say about the gay thing?
She said, well, look, the LGBT community gets all kinds of accommodations, and I just want the same accommodations because I'm fat. And
honey, I will say this, honey, people can choose to be gay or not, and you can choose when to put down that McRib.
She says she does, though. She says that when her weight gets too high, she starts trying to manage it. Now, I wonder when that was. Yeah.
Too high. What, when you start breaking the 7th bathroom scale, then you're like, maybe this is a wake-up call.
I think it's getting so bad that Maude is going to have an intervention soon. I don't know.
She went on a diet this week. She tried to, at least. We went to Burger King, and she ate one of them kids' meals. But the kid's mom was really mad.
Did she eat the toy too?
No, that's all the kid had. So, but his mom was pissed off.
I can understand.
But just overall, how we can tolerate this. Now, am I saying we should bring back fat shaming?
Yes.
Sorta,
yes.
Especially when you have flaps over your body. If you start having flaps, every time you walk, I can hear you like 100 yards away. You need to change.
If you have saggy knees and you're not 30, okay, you need an intervention. All right. Not that saggy knees at 30 are justified either, but saggy knees are not supposed to be a thing really ever.
If an airport worker looks at you and is not too sure if you're going to be able to be on the plane or not.
Well, I'm thinking the opposite. Like, if Dank Demoss might be the only time that she gets randomly selected by TSA, and the TSA worker is the one who's disappointed. Oh no, son of a bitch! Are you serious? Imagine getting deep in those folds.
It's the rookie. It's his first week on the job, and the older guys are gonna have to poke fun of him. It's like, hey, you see that whale over there? Let's get him to do a search on her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I just don't like seeing this body positivity, because no, you cannot be healthy at every size. Just like how we can look at people who are literal skin and bones and say, oh, that's the ideal standard almost. Like, no, it's not. That's also unhealthy.
Yeah,
if I can see your bones, then there's a problem.
Yeah, and I think the point is, like, you can have ideals without being hostile to every single person. Like, you say bring back shaming. Like, yeah, kind of. But it's not as though if I, see a fat person on the street, I'm going to be like, hey, you suck, fuck you, whatever.
With a tuba.
It's just like, can we have ideals, and we've done away with that too. Like, oh, no, you can't have, attractive women in public culture or in pop culture anymore. Whether it's magazine covers or video games or whatever, because that's not representative, as though representative is the aim. We're all supposed to look at ideals that maybe we'll never get to, but the point is that you're on a trajectory, you're aiming at something. And even if you're never, same for men, even if you're never going to be the cover of Men's Health or whatever, there are better and worse versions of you, and we should all encourage aiming at the better trajectory. And even if you're not there, that's okay, but try to aim that way.
Exactly. There of course are people in the world that kind of like the fat of people. a little too much. There are people out there. Is it a healthy exception? No, it's not. And for like the shaman thing, and if you're gonna be all mad at me when it's like, oh, you should be able to date me. I have a lovely personality. Yeah, but when you look like an obese whale that just came out of the water, I'm sorry.
Dude, I haven't looked at dating app stuff since last time I looked was 2018, so it's been a full 7 years now. And
times have changed.
It was awful back then. I mean, it was very low quality women expecting top tier men. And the thing is, when you look at that, it's like when you look at housing prices or the price of a car or something, you're like, holy crap, I can't believe people are actually paying that. But since it's on the market and it's selling, people must be paying that. It's sort of the same effect where you look through like a dating app and it's like, this woman is delusional, but also they're all doing it, so they must be getting what they want in the form of dates or whatever else. So I guess it's not actually that delusional. They what is being advertised is selling here.
Yes, and moreover, just generally, how are we supposed to accept this? Like, I just can't. Like, if one of my friends is that big, I'm gonna look at him and say, dude, you're a effing fat ass. I don't know if I can say that, but
disgusting.
Yeah.
But I will honestly say that to him. It's like, dude, have you looked at yourself? And if I have to look and there's no ankles, there's just round. You don't have an ankle anymore. It's just round.
That's kind of a common male culture. You ever see those memes that are like, men talk this way, women talk this way, or if men could do this, they do it that way. If women could do it this way, they do, those sorts of memes with the Chad Yes guy and his weird girlfriend and stuff. I
have had that happen where just me and people I have known for quite a long time, we will literally just not beat the shit out of each other, but just insult each other to the worst ever standard
good.
We ever have.
Yeah.
But then we just be like, okay, see you tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah,
and the meme context I'm thinking of is like, women to their fat friends. They'll be like, oh, you're so gorgeous. What are you talking about? Men to their fat friends. I know 5 fat people and you're 4 of them, I think was the phrase. Yeah. And even though that seems harsh or like it's ridicule or like it's mean, when you understand it correctly, it does cause you to reassess your life and to change some of your behaviors. And that's good, I don't want people to be harassed, obviously, but the delusions that we're promoting are far worse than like a little bit of, pushback.
If you're going to a Wendy's and you're ordering almost $50 worth of food and the person behind you starts snickering, I don't feel like I feel bad for that person that's snickering.
After Joe Biden, $50 worth of food is like
I'm gonna say that's just a couple of sandwiches these days.
Yeah, you might get like a few Frosties. I don't know.
That is true. I do work. My profession is I do work armed security at a grocery store.
Well, you have to stop those people who are licking the ice cream. Are they still doing that? You need to shoot them down.
No, it's more just the weirdest thing I've ever found was in an offshoot area of the store where there was a half drunk thing of strawberry milk and cornstarch.
I used to do that when I worked at Target, when you would find stuff on the sales floor that was out of place. Like, for example, here's one. Since the theme of tonight's show is condoms, you'd be, say, in the snack aisle, and you'd find a box of condoms, like, where all the chips are. And then we'd theorize, like, what happened here. And it's a guy walking down the aisle, like, prepping for his date that night. Like, oh, man, this is going to be so great. And he gets a text like, hey, sorry, but I'm sick. Maybe another time. He's like, son of a bitch. He throws him on the aisle, or throws him on the shelf back. And grabs the ruffles and is like, fuck it. I'm going to get Dank Demoss size. I don't care.
I've seen potato chips in the detergent aisle.
Well, I don't know. That seems like a mod package too. Like, she would have desperate need for both of those items.
Yeah, she keeps food everywhere. I mean, detergent aisle.
And for people of that big, I am sorry to ask this, but when I look at someone that big, especially her, one thought comes to mind, or one question: how do you wipe?
Like, well,
what the
I'm afraid we don't have time to answer that question.
Oh,
this
no.
evening,
We're not
but-
going to answer it. It's just if you can't reach, I think that's a wake up call. It's like, okay, maybe you need to start losing weight if you can't even reach.
Yeah, it's probably a
That
good
is
warning. If you can't if you can't touch your own hands behind your back in that way, like, can she even be handcuffed? That's a good question. Or is it too obstructive?
They need to, well, for police, for when there's a person that big, it usually they need to be double cuffed, meaning you put one cuff on one hand and
Just
then extend
double?
a cuff.
Wow, maybe she has lost weight.
Well, there have been people that have been double cuffed. I think there's been a triple cuffed person before.
She definitely would need that. But I got to let you go, man. I appreciate your call.
I will, and before I go, I will have a joke for you.
Oh,
Gentlemen,
I forgot. That
as
is
always.
the tradition. All right.
What is the difference between a cigar chomping dictator and a cigar chomping banker?
What is the difference?
The banker makes your money disappear, while the dictator makes your family disappear. I will see myself out. Have a good day.
Trying to be funny?
All right. Next up is, well, I don't. Did you find that joke? You are a cheese joke expert, Del.
No, that was pretty bad. If he's gonna do a good joke, I mean, keep it in theme too. Like, did you hear about the pirate? Did you hear about the pirate's obese parrot died? He said it was a huge weight off his shoulders. See, that's funny.
All right, I'll allow that. All right, Vong is up next. Vong, are you there? Vong.
Well.
What's on your mind?
How's it going, Matt?
I am well. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Doing well. I am highly amused by all of the happenings of the past week, and especially the past few days.
What would those happenings be?
Oh, all kinds of things. The whole what I think both Tulsi and RFK Jr. were confirmed today, right?
Technically RFK not, but basically yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, okay, so yes, you were on one of those tradcasts, and so I am very much I tend to take your former co-host's line somewhat even farther when it comes to women in government.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we talked about this
absolutely
with the church. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that is somewhat different because that refers to who can validly receive the sacrament of orders.
Well, wait.
However,
so what's your position on women in government? Or what's the more extreme position beyond there shouldn't be any? That they should be what?
Well, so here's the thing. All right. Basic facts of life. Men and women are different. We all know this.
Depends who you ask, but I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why I said basic facts of life, because anyone who doesn't acknowledge that basic truth does not have two brain cells to rub together, or is so mentally unstable that they just need to be put in a rubber room. That's it. A lot of those differences affect not just the physiology, but the psyche. And one of the things that tends to happen, and this is just a quick aside, is that men tend to cooperate with each other a lot better, and most especially under situations of extremely high stress.
Agree completely.
Women,
and it seems counterintuitive because women are supposed to be soft and agreeable and friendly. No, they're catty bitches who will stab each other in the back the second that it's to their benefit.
Yeah, ladies, you couldn't even keep a women-only company running for more than, 9 months or so without it descending into nothing but backbiting, gossiping, and catty backstab.
What the hell company was that? I didn't even hear about this.
Oh, yeah, some woman tried this at one point. She was independently wealthy, and she decided, I want to start a women-only company, so I'm only going to hire women because That way we're not going to have to deal with all the men. And then it almost immediately just descends into all these women just backstabbing each other and gossiping.
What did they sell?
Lying
What
about each
was
other
their
and-
product?
Oh my, I can't remember. I mean, the company didn't last long enough to really get anything accomplished. As I said, it was a matter of 6 to 9 months before it was dead.
They sold weapons grade complaining, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Something like
Probably.
that.
Yeah, but as I said, ladies, we can't even y'all can't even keep a company together for a year. You seriously think we're gonna trust you to run an entire freaking country? Nuh-uh.
Well, so what's
You guys
the
do with
more
that
extreme
BS.
position? I gather that you don't want women in. What's the more extreme position than no women in government?
More extreme position is that those things that we're talking about, the whole backstabbing, cattiness, holding grudges, all that, believe it or not, those things very occasionally have very good uses if you can channel them to useful ends.
Your position is
Gabbard.
puppeteer the women into murdering each other?
No.
Oh.
Even better.
What's the strategic use
me.
here? Okay.
Tell me, Matt. Do you really think Trump can be everywhere all at once to purge every single department of everyone who is standing in his way?
No,
of course not.
I
You don't
would
think that, do you?
No.
Of course not. Anyone can tell that no one is going to think that. So, the best thing he can do in order to get this done, if he has to delegate it, which he does, is to put in charge of any given department or anything or any institution, blah blah blah, that needs to be purged, a person who has been personally wronged by that department or thing.
So you're saying
Extensively
weaponized? Yes, weaponized.
Yes.
Wronged woman, scorned woman. Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yes.
But
hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
so your
as the
position
old
is
saying goes.
not actually no women in government, only weaponized women in government.
Under normal circumstances, no women in government, absolutely none. This is a rare case where might as well use women who are exceedingly angry as essentially attack dogs, because they have extreme grudges against these people, and they're going to be more than willing to be vindictive as all hell.
I mean, I like I said, I have questions about Tulsi just personally and her own policy preferences and stuff. But hey, if you are an opponent of, an enemy of, if you are hated by the current Intel establishment, step right in. I would love to see that show. Go right ahead, ma'am. Whatever hesitation I may have is secondary to this site that we're about to watch. So I hope she goes in there and breaks a few things. Frankly, it's going to be great to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I have to admit that in this case, so long as things are kept on the appropriate leash, right? And the length of that leash will vary depending on the department and the amount of purging necessary, yada yada. But in this case, I have to say that it's probably better that it's a woman, actually, given the target, that being the Intel groups, because, well, the problem is kind of what I said before, that men tend to cooperate really well, and especially in high-stress situations. That's going to lead to some of these people, right? Some of I'm sure you've heard the old phrase, there are two kinds of people in intelligence groups, as being one, incompetent but affable, and two, utterly competent and totally sociopathic serial liars.
Yeah, those are the ones you got to watch out. Well,
power.
I guess you got to watch out for both, but I think the latter are particularly dangerous.
But the thing about him putting Tulsi in charge of that is that I think she's going to be more likely and more willing to just hold that grudge indiscriminately against any and everyone in those groups.
Yeah,
just because they're in those groups.
That'll be great. I see what you're saying, man. I think it is going to be a good show, but I got to let you go, but I'll give you a quick last word if you'd like it.
Damn it, we didn't even get to the actual topic on the list.
Well, I've learned from my Vaughn calls in the past, I got to kind of rein it in, you know.
When I took you out onto the ice cream about executive orders and all that.
Yeah.
Well, last word.
Get the hell out of here.
All right. I can't wait any longer. Have a good night.
All right.
Whoops. All right. You have any thoughts about weaponized female grudges?
That would make sense why there were those rumors about the Project 2025 and those period passports, actually. That makes a lot more sense now.
Really pieced it all together. I see. Okay. Joshy Boy's up next. Joshy Boy, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's on your mind?
Good evening. Somebody was talking about religion, and that piqued my interest, but I'm going to try to just keep it on topic just for a moment.
Good luck.
I know we already talked to death about Dank Demoss, right? And you should have you should have heard me earlier when you showed me that horrendous picture. I'm glad I stopped eating at that moment, but
the one with the knees hanging out?
bro, her thighs are like a whole other person, right? It's
You got like
ridiculous
Han
how-
Solo poking through in there somewhere, frozen in her thigh.
People will try to make the joke that that's Jabba the Hutt's girlfriend, but if you ever remember watching those movies, he had great taste in women.
Yeah, you can't argue with that as far as Jabba goes. Jabba would
like-
not have tolerated Dank Demoss hanging out in his
He would have fed that.
Tatooine mud hut or
Yeah.
whatever it was.
I forgot what that giant creature is. It's not the Sarlacc pit, but the Rancor. He would have fed that to it. They would have been eaten for a whole week.
No, the Rancor would have choked and died.
He is the Rancor.
Yeah, right. I mean, who wins that fight is not obvious, I don't think, to your point, yeah.
But to kind of, to talk about Dank Demoss indirectly for a moment, there's been a lot of talk about the differences between men and women and what men look for. The basic long and short of that is that we men are very visual and we tend to like very beautiful things, right? Staring at somebody like Dank Demoss and with the mantra of "you need to accept me as I am," I think it was Dale who said it, like accept me because I have a great personality. He says, the truth of the matter is that you can have a heart of gold, you can have the best personality in the entire world, right? You can be the golden rule of a good person, but if you're ugly as shit, I ain't going for it. If you're fat, if you can't fit in my doorway, I don't want it, right? If you look like you'll crack the very ground you walk on, how did she even get to that Breakfast Club? Which is ironic for basically her big ass size. And she goes on.
I thought her first question wasn't going to be, "Can I get a sofa?" I thought it was going to be, "Where's the breakfast?"
Exactly.
What is the organizing principle of this club anyway? Yeah.
There was something in there. Go ahead.
No, I mean how does, whenever you see her in any public context, you have to wonder, how did you get here? So when she says, well, when people see me outside, they say, go inside. No, they don't. No, they do not. They wonder the sort of things you're wondering, which is just how?
Yeah,
how?
How
did you get out there?
She's opening
How
her
do you
new, I
get
guess she's
into
opening
clothes?
her own lift competitor, Forklift.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that was, if Lyft did that, if Lyft leaned into it and actually made Forklift in their app to be inclusive, oh my, it would be the smartest business move they could possibly make. Number one, because it is actually appeasing what Dank Demoss wants. But number two, it would be viral and hilarious, and it would earn them a bunch of money. Because for anybody who's mad about Lyft, like kind of caving to this bullshit, which I'm not a frequent rideshare guy, so whatever. I haven't taken, I think the last time I took a Lyft was like a year and a half ago, or like any rideshare.
Yeah.
But them caving to Dank Demoss, maybe if I was a frequent rideshare person, would maybe make me consider a competitor. I don't know. But the point is, if Lyft wanted to earn my business, if they did the forklift gag, I'm in. I would be a Lyft customer for all of my ride sharing future.
I'll be right behind you. But to kind of harken back to the whole, we men are visual. We are visual. We like pretty things. We like girls who are fit and feminine. There are some men out there who kind of like a little meat on their bones when it comes to their women. However, when it comes to that level of obesity, right, you have to kind of wonder, one, how are you still alive? Two, how do you get into any clothes? We say that, right? We say you're not going to be alive for long, but these people tend to outlive those of us who are actually fit and are very healthy.
That's
somehow,
true.
Right?
Someone out will be out like doing some exercise and get hit by a car or something like that.
Bro, if she gets
But-
hit by a car, I'm pretty sure the car will be more damaged than she will be.
No, I mean like a fit person will be hit by a car and die before her.
Like, oh,
but
yeah.
hitting her, it's like around here every once in a while someone will hit a moose or
Yeah.
an elk or maybe even a bison. And that, I mean, that wrecks your car almost more than the animal. And I assume Dank Demoss would be the same sort of thing. Yeah.
The same thing. But that's just a type of reality that we men have, right? You can have the great personality and everything, but like I said before, if you're ugly as shit, if you're too fat, if you got too much bad attitude or anything like that, we look at the physical first. Like, how good does she look?
Yeah.
If you're telling me that if you're hooking me up with a girl, I want to know, is she pretty? Is she hot? Is she fit? And then if you show me somebody like Dank Demoss, I'm like, hell no, what the fuck wrong with you?
But those are cues for the reason men find that attractive is those are cues for or proxies for healthy mom, like ability to have healthy babies. That's really what that primal instinct of men is searching for. And is it fair to women that like men are going to be inherently biased toward the prettier women? Maybe it's not fair, but the other side of that coin, the world's not fair, so I'm not making that a complaint. The other side of that coin though is like, have you ever say someone you knew in a prior part of your life was overweight, and this is true for men too, it's not just women, but like maybe you knew an overweight chick back from school 10 years ago or whatever, and then you see someone who's lost a pretty dramatic amount of weight and taken their health seriously and gotten fit. Even someone that you didn't think was really attractive before, the second they take it seriously and get their body in shape, you're like, holy crap, not only do you look like a different person, you look like a very attractive person. And there's almost nobody, man or woman, who isn't at least moderately attractive when in good shape. Even like the worst butterfaced chick, if she's in great shape, is still going to be attractive to men because those are cues for what we're talking about.
Not only that, she'll be more confident in herself. She'll try to take better care of her. And she has more competitive power over the last woman who's not as fit as she is, right? Because we look for that kind of thing. Now, of course, obviously there are other things that we look for when it comes to women, but that is the very first thing we go for. We're very visual. We like looking at pretty things. Like, take a car. Let's say that you take a classic car versus, say, your average modern car. You would definitely want the classic car more than the modern car because it looks better, right?
For the most part, a lot of modern cars are pretty crap.
They really are pretty crap.
Yeah.
But that's just is, and like you said, life isn't fair. But we men, we don't really complain about life not being fair. We kind of know that already. It's mostly the women who complain about life not being fair.
And women have their own standards too. I mean, things that aren't fair, like women generally are less attracted to shorter men. It's just the way things are. Women are less attracted to men with less money. It's the way things are. Like there are standards for us men too. It's not like being a male Dank Demoss, you're just going to be, I mean, you can only be Jabba and have the chicks around you if you have a bunch of money. If you make a ton of money, then maybe. But that's the point, is you are still providing high value as a man, at least the female perception of high value in that way. But anyway, I got to let you go, but really interesting stuff, man. I appreciate your call. Did you have any final thought before?
One final thought. I would consider, since you're a Christian now, I would consider you try looking into the Orthodoxy, because that's what I'm doing currently. I visited an Orthodox church just last Sunday, and for a Protestant such as myself, it is very different. However, I do like how they do things. I need to take more time to kind of learn more about them.
Yeah, I'm open to stuff. I think, like I said, community being a big aim of my church experience, I definitely don't want to bail on a community too early. So I'm pretty set for like, I don't think I'm going to make any moves like that for at least like a year plus. I want to make sure that if I'm serious about joining a community, I give it a really, really fair, thorough shot before I decide I'm going to do something else. But
that's kind of how I am with the Orthodoxy right now. But I am liking what I'm seeing, and they are very community driven. So,
well, thank you, man. Good luck with that effort. And
thank you. Y'all
out.
have a good night.
Yeah, you as well. All right. You have any thoughts on that? On female attractiveness?
That's why people are hitting the gym all the time. People trying to get those gym videos out all the time to get out of the way.
That is the worst thing to happen to gym culture, and is the influencer stuff. is everybody's recording themselves at all time. Man, I was in there like a few months ago, and this guy's got like a full DSLR setup and like a boom mic and stuff. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, get out of here. What are you doing? Are you filming a promotional for the gym? No, you're just like being a jackass. Get out of here. Nobody cares about your gains that much. I promise you, it's not that big of a deal. I don't know. I try that stuff.
It is just ridiculous.
Most gym, not most, at least the gym I'm talking about, they ban it, but nobody was enforcing it. You're not supposed to be recording videos in that way, but nobody's enforcing it. And yeah, it's just really annoying. You don't want to be like a part of somebody's stupid video. And I don't understand why. Well, I guess I do. It's because people want to watch chicks do their thrusts or whatever. And that's why it's a big, I mean, I guess I get it. On the other side, it's good that people are enthusiastic about fitness. I guess that's better than the alternative. But what it has done to make not every, but a lot of people in gyms think that they are like something so important that they have to be filmed and put on YouTube and put on Instagram and put all this. No, just do what I do and get a microphone and sit at a desk and be satisfied with that. How about that?
Exactly. That's why I like to start my day off with 30 minutes exercise, because after that, I know my day can't get any worse.
Well, it is the worst mental health times of my life, and I've never been like diagnosed with any kind of mental health problem, but I just mean the times of my life where I was the least happy were the times of my life where I was the least active. And I don't think that's coincidental. Now, it also happened to be that I was living in California. I didn't know a lot of people. I was kind of on my own. It was right after I'd graduated college. A lot of things going on, just thrown into a life by myself without a lot of peers with easy access like you have in college. Like, oh, my friends, they all live next door, so it's very easy to have a social life in that way. And that was kind of taken. So a lot of factors that made living in California hard. But when I look back, it's like there was also a lot of sitting though. And there was also a lot of excess weight. And whatever you choose to do, it doesn't even have to be like gyms or super hard workouts or whatever. Whatever you can do to get that little bit of endorphin flow on a daily basis, best thing you can do for your mental health. Yep. That needs to be done before drugs, before therapists, before any of that stuff. Just break a sweat on a daily basis and your life will improve 100%. All right. Let's see. Well, this might be last caller. God, it's already top of the hour, man. I'm going to tell Tim I'll take one more. You good for two more?
As long as you want.
Okay. Let me make sure Tim knows. So he keeps him around. Zang, Justin, right? Justin, are you there?
Hey, you got it.
I got it right this time. All right, cool. What's on your mind, man?
You got any more bandwidth to talk judicial usurpation of the executive?
Yeah, of course.
Get that all out of your system with your video earlier today.
No, well, and thank you for watching and mentioning it. But actually, it's one of those. I'm not. That's one of those videos where I look back on it and I'm like, I'm actually not satisfied with how I put this together, and I have plenty more to say about it. So if you have things to say about it, absolutely, because we haven't talked about it at all on the stream.
I mean, it just amazes me that these judges think that like there is only one court that is co-equal with the legislative and executive branches. There's only one court that has the jurisdiction to make nationwide injunctions. There's only one court that's described in detail in the Constitution, and that's the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
All the others
all the others are established by Congress and defined by Congress, and it's like
they're explicitly called inferior courts.
Yeah. Like, and even that, and I'm not disputing your premise, but I think it's even constitutionally debatable whether the Supreme Court was supposed to have the sort of authority that it does have, which is to say judicial review as a concept. Like, was the Supreme Court supposed to have the authority to declare definitively laws to be constitutional or unconstitutional? Was that the intent? I think that's far from clear. But
I mean, That you can make that argument, but I would argue that it's just a natural outflowing of its stated responsibility to interpret the law. I mean, somebody has to act as the traffic cop to say, no, you Congress, you've gone beyond what the Constitution allows with this particular law. This cannot be allowed to stand. It's gone.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that there's no reason to suppose that Congress's declaration of the law as constitutional carries any less force, or the executive necessarily. But I take your point, and I know you're not trying to get into that debate, so I don't mean to sidetrack you.
Not particularly.
And of course, like, your point is something well beyond that, which is like, we're not even talking about the Supreme Court here. We're talking about district court judge guy in Rhode Island or Boston or whatever. Yeah.
Who do you think you are that you can issue a nationwide injunction? Who do you think you are that you can step in and say, no, President, you cannot fire this one particular person within the agency that is explicitly under your control?
Yeah. Well, that's why, of all of them, I find to be the most bizarre. It's the one that says, like, you can't look at Treasury data.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What you're telling the Treasury Department what employees can look and what employees can't? And you're claiming this has a constitutional basis? What the hell are you talking about?
Or like, you must restore these web pages that you took down. I'm sorry. Is there any law that you can cite to say the CDC website must have X, Y, and Z pages?
No, yeah, constitutionally, the CDC website should be deleted, I think, is the correct answer. But
yeah,
we're going the other direction. The Constitution compels the CDC website.
The other thing is, as these injunctions pile up, I am amazed that none of these judges are stopping or pausing to think, if this reaches a certain critical mass, the Supreme Court is probably going to have to rule on what we're doing here. And the current makeup of the court is probably not going to be too friendly with what we're doing here.
I think they're just on the delay tactic of like, well, if we mess him up for a few weeks or months, then that's cool. I wonder, because obviously all these people can be impeached, and just like the presidential impeachment, that's a political question, really. It's like, who's in control of Congress and are they likely to do it or not? I wonder if, like, it'd be interesting if the parties could get together to make some more objective rules for like when impeachment is appropriate for, say, not personal misconduct, like you committed a crime, you stole from somebody or something, but I mean like professional misconduct, like being a bad judge. And if there was some sort of metric, like if X% of your decisions are overturned on appeal, you are auto impeached. Like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, like that's kind of the key to why a whole lot of people are getting ticked off at the judiciary, because like when these judges make these obviously patently ridiculous rulings and they get overturned, what happens to the judge? Nothing.
And this is the other side of the.
He's allowed to keep his seat. He's not censured or anything. He's not like, he gets a slap on the wrist from the Supreme Court. Okay, I'm still coming in tomorrow. I'm still getting my government paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, Congress can take him out, but to the point you're making, it's the politics govern that, not really any principle. And so, yeah, I mean, what do you do? And this is the other side of the coin of the concept of lifetime appointments. In theory, you're shielding judges and justices from political influence. That's the idea. Well, we don't want defined terms because then they'll make decisions based on what they think is politically expedient. There's a great case that it has produced the exact opposite, though, that because they have, that they're insulated to this degree, and impeachment on paper is an accountability mechanism, but in practice is really not, and almost never happens. That they're so insulated that they gleefully install their own politics where they don't belong because they know there's no real punishment for doing that.
Right. And to your point about trying to delay everything for weeks or months, I mean, in the grand scheme, that might not seem like much, but at this current moment, that is not nothing, because we got Doge trying to rummage through metric tons of federal data in order to slim down the government, and they're not going to be able to do that effectively if they don't have public support, and they need to gather that support right now, which is probably why they went after USAID in the first place, because like Elon Musk must have taken one look at that and seen like, oh, there is just so much that we can publicize in this that will get people ticked off and on our side.
Well, no, there's no specific evidence of government fraud, waste, and abuse. I heard it on the news. It's it's all just smoke and mirrors.
The economy's doing great.
Yeah.
You are fake news.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for calling in, man. I got to let you go, but last thought if you want it.
Well, I know this has been beaten to death by now, but Ms. Demoss.
Of course. Yeah.
I know you don't like the F word, so I've got an accommodation for you. I've got a word for you. You could even work it into your name. Dense Demoss.
Ah, new branding opportunity. All right. The densest. Although, I don't know. Anyway, appreciate the call, man. Thank you for.
You have a good night.
All right.
You have any thoughts on the judicial power grab of late?
No.
No? All right, you're gonna Robin Gibbet from Barry Gibb Talk. You ever see that on SNL?
No. Yeah, the Barry Gibb Talk show.
Such a great
funny.
bit.
I enjoy that.
One of my favorites of all time, if people don't remember, it's Jimmy Fallon as Barry Gibb and Justin Timberlake as his brother Robin, and they do a talk show in which Barry, in very animated style, threatens to murder the political guests on his show. And it's always, Robin, do you have anything to add? No? No, I don't. Yeah. Anyway, you have to see it. It's a great bit. Back when SNL was reliably funny in those days.
Yeah.
But all right, Turles is going to get last call.
All right.
Turles, are you there?
Yeah. Hello.
What's on your mind?
Hey.
Well, I thought I would use the topic of the judges to talk about, well, as a launching point to discuss, how do we limit the power of the federal government. And so maybe it's time we revisit the idea of term limits, on Congress members.
Yeah, I for a long time, on principle, I guess considered myself opposed because I thought, well, the states should be able to send who they want to represent them, and it is not the business of the federal government or the other states acting through the federal government who they send to represent them. And I still, there's a lot about that position that I still find important and compelling. But then I look at the swamp creatures and you look at the net worth of all of these people in Congress. It's like, well, I don't know. We do have rules on who can be a senator or a congressman otherwise. Like you can't send a baby. You can't send like an illegal immigrant yet or something like that. Yeah. So we already have rules. Like, I don't know that what would make a term limit rule any different than the rules already in place. And I suppose I've kind of come around.
Yeah, and Mitch McConnell, lately has been demonstrating the point very nicely, and you have these creatures like, Nancy Pelosi. You had Orrin Hatch, forever, like entire generations. And these people, they obtain they get a little more arrogant with every election cycle. They know that incumbents are practically invulnerable, all things being equal. Incumbents just do not go away. It takes a pretty drastic scandal to get rid of them. And, I think even on the judiciary, in the judicial branch, they would be more nervous about messing with the constitutional order, trying to take away the just powers of the executive branch, the constitutional powers of the executive branch, if they knew that we don't necessarily have friends in Congress forever. they might,
Yeah, that's
a new Congress might come along, that threatens that regime.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't thought of the secondary effects for the other branches potentially if you did that. But yeah, I mean, the initial intent of Congress, the federal government generally, it was never meant to be a career. You're supposed to be a farmer or a blacksmith or whatever it is you do in your home, in your state. And if you were lucky enough to build a good amount of wealth and become prosperous, maybe you'd devote a few years of your life to the public service of serving in Congress before you go back to the farm. And instead, it's just become something of the opposite, where it is a career path, and not just a career path where people live there for life, like you're talking about, but like obscenely lucrative. And I'm not saying that, like, getting rich and building wealth and all that, that's great. I'm not throwing shade at people who do that themselves. It's just, how are the people in Congress getting this rich when they have like a $250,000 salary or $200,000 or whatever it is, and yet their net worth becomes hundreds of millions of dollars? It's all books. It's all speaking tours.
Right.
Right. I mean, yeah.
On the contrary, I mean, look at what's just what's been kind of a scandal lately, at least on Twitter, is that Judge John Bates or something like that. His wife is working for USAID, and here he is making rulings.
See that. Oh man,
his wife works for USAID, and now he is over here making rulings about what the executive branch can and can't do, what they can have on their websites. Yeah. So he actually ordered them to put the Rainbow Mafia stuff back on like the CDC.
Is that what it was? I didn't look closely at that ruling. What did he order them to put? Was it gay stuff?
Yeah. It was some kind of rainbow jihad nonsense, and
he ordered them to make it say AIDS is healthy again on the CDC website.
Yeah, or trans women are women or something.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And that's just demonstrative of the point. That it's a huge scandal, an obvious conflict of interest. His own wife is a beneficiary of that gravy train.
Yeah,
and he wants it to keep going. And incidentally, that guy looks decidedly rat-like. I don't know if you've seen any pictures of him.
Decidedly rat-like. Okay, what's the judge's name?
I think it's John Bates. I don't know. You could just look up conflict of interest, judge.
Okay, yeah.
John Bates.
Judge orders CDC, FDA to restore websites. Okay, so this is the right guy.
Yeah.
Now, whatever you think of his face. Okay, now let me I am not saying this with any sort of intent of any kind, okay? I'm not making commentary on I'm just saying this guy looks like Templeton the Rat from Charlotte's Web. That's all.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, I'm not saying that with any sort of ethnic intent of any kind. I'm just saying objectively that is Templeton from Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, I have no idea what his ethnicity or background is. I just thought it was funny that here we are. Yeah, here we are with this guy, and he is he's over here, doing things that are obviously shady, and I don't know. I think he should have kept his head down a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they're so emboldened that they don't care. It's almost like a taunting exercise. I swear they do it and they laugh because they know that nothing's going to happen. But all right, man.
And it frustrates me to death that Congress thinks they can get away with that stuff. Like I just recently found out about that nonsense we had to pull with Fort Bragg, where we couldn't name it after the old Bragg. We had to name it after this other Bragg.
Well, did they have to, or was that I interpreted that as kind of a trolling thing from Hegseth. But are you saying he had to?
That was an actual law that Congress passed.
You can't name after Confederate guys? That's a thing?
We can't name things after Confederates anymore.
Oh, my God.
Term limit these people.
That was ridiculous. Well, okay, so interpreted that, because when I first saw the news, now my brother spent a lot of time at Fort Bragg, obviously, because he was in the 82nd. And so Fort Bragg meant a lot to my family. And so when I saw the news drop, okay, it's not Fort Liberty anymore, it's Fort Bragg. I was like, yes, that's awesome. And I still am glad it's changed back. But now I I thought Hegseth did that so they couldn't say like, how could you honor a traitorous Confederate? I thought he was trolling them. I didn't know there was a statutory reason he had to do that. That makes it worse. But
it was them trying to be clever because they couldn't actually change it back to the old one.
Well, it sours it a little bit, but I'll still take Fort Bragg. It's still a victory, I guess. Thanks.
and the Gulf of America, we got that going for us.
Yeah. Thanks for the info, man. I appreciate it. And have a good night.
Sure thing. Good night.
All right, that'll do it on callers this evening. You have anything you want to add to any of that, Mr. Dell?
So I understand about wanting term limits, and I've been that mindset too, and it does make more sense based on the initial thoughts behind what the position should be. They should be, like you said, not career. They should be like average Joe, mom and pop Joe Blow doing this as part of their civic duty. Which makes sense for a term limit, but I also don't know if you can actually tell citizens who they can and can't have represent them. That seems to be the other side that seems a little shady to me. But it does mean. I mean, one of the reasons why you want term limits is because you don't want corporations buying politicians, and it's going to be very hard for them to buy a new politician every couple of years.
Or maybe not. I mean, I don't know. It's not. I don't know if it will be hard. It's just a new guy to. Whose campaign fund you got to cut a check to or something like that. But I definitely, as a guy who wants the states to have as much autonomy as possible and self-direction as possible, I definitely take the point that the states should have pretty much full control on who they send to represent them. Though, as I said, like we already have rules, baseline rules for that. So a baseline term limits rule doesn't seem to change that much to me, which is a consideration. The other thing that's sort of persuaded me the other way over the last few years is like, okay, now, do I think I have a lot of business telling California who they can send to Congress or the Senate to represent them? Not really. I think that should be up to them. However, the problem is California thinks they have all kinds of business sending their congressman or senator to D.C. to tell me what to do. They want to micromanage my life in another state using those congressmen and those senators. And in that regard, even though it's not ideal, it's not what we're trying to build. Like, that is the reality. And so I don't feel as bad on principle saying, actually I am entitled to some level of check on this to the extent you use these people to control my life. Actually, you don't use them to manage a federal government that is limited in basically disputes between the states and national defense. That doesn't really affect the state of Montana very much. Now you're trying to tell me, like, you're trying to send your California people to Congress to raise my taxes and manage every farmer and rancher around here and do every little bit of managing the state of Montana that you possibly can, even though you have no real right or jurisdiction over this place. But yeah, well, but okay, if you were, let's say it was up for a vote today, like you had this wouldn't be handled through us, but if it was national referendum, like, should we have congressional and or judicial term limits or not, what would you vote? And would you vote the same way on both of those?
I'd vote yes, we need them, because that, again, like I said, that was the intent of the founding fathers when they created these positions, was that they wouldn't be careers, and people have made them into careers. So we need something in place that makes them not be a career.
What about judges? Would you do the same for judges? Like Supreme Court, should they be term limited?
That's a good question. I haven't thought about that one.
I think the status, I mean, we got like Sonia Sotomayor dying on the bench and Ruth Bader Ginsburg before her. So you got that problem. The other problem, though, I think the terms would have to be kind of long, because, or there'd have to be massive reform of the way the Supreme Court works, because the Supreme Court has such broad authority to create national rules, as we've set it up, that if you were swapping them out, say like every 4 years, every 6, or even every 8, really depends who's making those picks and how they're being, because you're going to have the court making crazy national, like Roe v. Wade is back. No, it's gone. Roe v. Wade is back. Now it's gone. You'd have back and forth swings like that all the time. And that would be unstable.
Maybe if instead of term limits, we just have like an annual competency check or something like that. You're getting too old for this position. No, you're out of here.
It should be like, President we should do it like the natural world does. You know, it's like you got the like the bull bison in the group, and he's in charge until some younger, tougher bison comes in and challenges him and headbutts him out of there. So, we have a national wrestling match with our Supreme Court justices every 4 years, and if they're not strong enough to withstand it, then they have to leave.
Our elections are held in the Octagon office.
Everything is so ridiculous that if the way we selected our leaders nationally was a lot more like Idiocracy, and we got President Mountain Dew Comancho or whatever his name was, that seems basically status quo, but more entertaining. So I don't really have a problem with that. But all right, man, I just got Super Chat to get through. You're welcome to stick around if you'd like to. Or
I'll stay.
All right, let's see what people got over on Rumble. Well, no, I skipped Odyssey last time. Let me check in with our Odyssey people. Blanket's sending me hilarious memes. Letitia James doing the the Ralph Wiggum "I'm in danger" Simpsons meme. Letitia James on the Simpsons bus, "I'm in danger." I would like to think that's true, but the worst thing that could happen for New York is they just get some sort of court order that says you can't actually conceal illegal immigrants from the feds. And they're not going to go to jail, or they're not even going to be removed from office unless New Yorkers get them out of there. But it's a step in the right direction. There's just the consequences for Kathy and Letitia are not going to be personally very high. Blanket says, Matt, what do you think about Elon's kid telling the orange man to shush? I guess I missed that part. Did he tell him to be quiet? I saw him say, forgive me, but I need to pee or whatever. He was very polite about asking to pee, but did he tell him to shush? That's funny. I didn't see that part. Did you watch any of that press conference? The Elon?
I did.
It was.
I missed that.
There's it's so funny to me how like him having his kid in public is treated as some kind of propaganda point. It's like, why can't people just be moms and dads sometimes? Why is that not allowed? I don't know. We've not had people say it reminded them a lot of Kennedy because as in John F. Kennedy, apparently he had his kids hanging out in the Oval Office frequently, but we've not had like a young parent president like that in my lifetime. I've never really seen that. Not that Elon is president, but you get what I'm saying.
We still don't.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, we don't often see government, and I know he's not even you get what I'm saying. We don't see government figures as parents of young kids in that way very often. It's been kind of out of the public viewing for a while. But anyway, thank you, Blankets. I appreciate it. D-Live, we're good. Over on Rumble, let's see. Hottie Torkman says, too bad Dank Demoss is so sensitive about the F word. She's a natural fit for a cover of Weird Al Michael Jackson parody. I don't know what Michael Jackson songs has Weird Al parodied. Do you know?
I'm fat instead of I'm bad.
Oh, actually, here it is. Let me see. I'm sure this is copyrighted, so I can only play a little bit of it, but let's see if I can get some of this on the screen. You're right. It is just Weird Al fat. Did you know that, or did you just guess?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that was, all right.
I love Weird Al.
So let's see. What's the most popular part of this video? Let's see here.
When I'm going to the movies, I take up 7 rows because I'm fat. Come on, really fat. You know I'm fat.
Okay. I mean, that is a Dank Demoss size fat suit.
That's a great song.
I don't know a lot of Weird Al songs. I know people love him. I've never, I don't know. Just not something I ever got into, but that's
He got the same people from the Michael Jackson video to be in, or at least one of them to be in this one.
When did that? It said it was posted on his channel 5 months ago. It's obviously older than that.
No, it's old. Yeah, it's been around for a while. But
do you know when it was made?
Back right at. I don't really have a date on that.
Thank you for that, Hottie Twerkman. You know what? For bringing that into my knowledge, I will award you an entry.
I love you.
Let's see. Let me get that copied over. And again, thank you for your patience with my less than ideal system of bookkeeping here. Just got to make sure all our super chatters are properly entered. Then we got Dangerous Spaces. Our friendly call screener, man, trying to juggle tech problems, people not being available, having to jump the list to try to ensure you always had a caller to bring in insight. Hope everything ran smoothly. Well, it did. Thank you for your help. As always, Tim. I didn't notice any problems, and appreciate that. All right. As a reminder, if people you've been on the fence about calling in, you might want to call in, but you don't really understand how Discord works, or you hesitate for whatever reason. Tim is always on the server to help out. So if you have any hesitation, hop in there, and Tim will make it easy for you. Appreciate that, Tim. Now, this username, I always have to be careful with, but it's Cheese N Egger. Cheese N Egger.
He said the N-word.
Boogers aren't the worst bodily excretions to be exchanged at that president's desk. I get it. It's a Bill Clinton joke, but that's a good one.
I love you.
Do you get it?
Yeah, or as someone said on the Senate floor in the chat.
No, I'll give you a CNN fact check on that. That wasn't the Senate floor. Actually, that was a Senate office building. That was in the Hart office building, which is way different, just like Mozambique in Africa versus Mozambique next to Israel.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It is their capacity to do fact checks that like are technically correct, but miss the point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yes, you're technically correct, but the point is over your head. It's always infuriating to read that. No, they were non-condom contraceptives and they were sent to Africa and they don't have AIDS. They have HIV. And oh, that changes my perception totally. Now the millions of dollars for Mozambique HIV. Oh, that's very reasonable. It all makes sense now. Thank you. Knuckle Hunky Buck, Dana Bash inadvertently said the phrase handle to hairy balls on live television. Elon's trolling has already borne fruit. I know that she knows what she's saying, so it's not like she got duped into it, but it's still, it's just a great moment. I love all these CNN personalities saying big balls and hairy balls, and they're doing it just stone-faced, like not even a smirk. And they, I know they're not getting tricked into saying it, but how do they not even smirk a little bit? Oh, you have no answer? I was actually looking for an explanation.
Oh, I have no idea. They pretend. They just like,
yeah.
That's how they deliver the news. It's always stone faced. Harry Balls was in it.
Tortuga. For showing Dank Demoss's thighs, you'll be hearing from my lawyer. Irreparable harm has been done to my psyche. Well, speaking of court orders, you probably needed an injunction on this stream before it was put up there. Maybe Dank Demoss is available. I'll have her on this show. Mm-hmm. I actually, I think that would be I would love to talk to her. Not even for like mockery comedy reasons. Like the stuff that we're talking about tonight, the philosophy of fatness, I think is actually the philosophy of F-ness. I'll be polite
right, F-ness.
With my word choice. I would love to talk to her. We'll see. Knuckle Hunky Buck, Crockett needs to consider which aspect is more important. Alien versus Predator. That's a good one because that's what we were talking about was Alien versus Predator. Hunky Buck, I would have entered that one, but I can't award Hunky Buck since he's staff now, so he's not winning the hydroponics kit. But that one was good. That was a Hunky Buck classic for sure. All right, let me give a quick refresh, and I think we're all set. Oh, no, there are a few more here. Injured Guardian. Uh-oh. Did you find out, does the church have good food? I haven't even sampled the food, but I can confirm there's coffee and hot chocolate and stuff available. But I've not sampled any food at the church otherwise.
Yeah.
Is that
Dank Demoss there? Maybe that's a good indicator it's good food.
Well, but the problem is you're not going to get any of it at any point.
Exactly, but it's good though. So
yeah,
at least it was good.
Actually, is this a reference or a joke? I feel like I'm missing something or it's over my head. Is food is that a thing people look for in a church? Food options?
Usually during communion.
Well, I mean, in that context, but I interpret this to mean like snacks or something. I don't know. All right. They got a good vending machine? I have no idea. Great White. Thank you, Injured Guardian. please check out the Christian apologetics sources, stuff like Genesis Science Network and Apologetics Press. Well, I'm always open to material. So if you have it, you can send it my way. As far as like my scriptural exposure and all that, that's really my Bible study on a weekly basis. Not that going to church is not. And what I appreciate about this church is the sermons are scripturally focused, which is very important to me. I don't want to go there for some modern political lecture or something like that. Yeah, and that's a great opportunity to remind everybody, if you're interested in participating in my Bible study, it's Friday nights at 9 Eastern. You can find the information. It's just on a Zoom call. Everyone has a good time. It's interactive. You can participate. We are off this week because my Bible study leader has something going on, but we will resume next week, and you can check out the Bible study page on my website for all the information. Carrie Green, keep missing you due to my work hours, but watch every show. Keep it up, Matt. Well, holy cow. Thank you for
I am not going to be niggardly.
your generous contribution to the show. I really appreciate that. And thank you for the encouragement too. Thanks for tuning in. It's my honor to know that that you're listening and you're finding value in it. So thank you. Knuckle Hunky Buck says Han Solo frozen in cellulite. Yeah, something like that. I mean, who knows? Let's put it this way. You've heard of the concept of BMI, right? Your body mass index.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that her BMI is greater than 100? That there's more fat in there than is theoretically possible. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Looking at her, I'd say there's probably a high probability.
Speaking of the supernatural, we started tonight's calls with discussion of the supernatural in the context of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you need demonstration of miracles, Dank Demoss is alive and walking around. Okay, I don't know what else to tell you about supernatural forces in the world. How else is it possible? I mean, that lady is just a walking question mark. How is your heart possibly pumping blood sufficiently through that body? Just amazing.
Especially when you can't get a ride anywhere.
Well, soon enough, because Lyft is all about accommodating her. So soon enough, man. All right. I think I'm all set. Looks good on YouTube and Tippy. Appreciate you guys there. It looks good on Rumble. Thank you guys on DLive and Odyssey. So we will call it a night unless you have any last words you want to say, Mr. Dell.
No, I think I said it all pretty much.
All right. Well, thank you for your participation this evening. Appreciate producer Tim, call screener Tim, helping us out, making sure the show is smooth as well. Appreciate everybody who called in and everybody who's participating in the live show through the chat and otherwise. Appreciate you. If you're listening later on demand, thank you kindly as well for enjoying and supporting the show. MattChristiansenMedia.com is where you find anything and everything show related. I'll be back on Sunday. Have a great week. Until then.